Good night, Barbados. Good night, Caribbean. Good night, world. You are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. It is beautiful in Barbados. Don't get jealous now. Don't jealous me. Don't jealous me. It is beautiful in Barbados, and I am excited. I am on the winning side. Anybody born to win? Who is born to win tonight? I am feeling excited because I am born to win. There is nothing that you are going to do that is going to cause me to be down or to be worried. I have already won. I was born a winner. Anybody else born winning? It's not over, baby, until I've won. Ain't over until I have won. Whoa, victory, 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 victory. I know you're praying, people, and I know you're hoping, people, and I know you're working hard, and I know. You get a little down sometimes, but I'm here to encourage us that it is working. 246 power is working. We are pushing back, and things are happening, and they are nervous. So they are so nervous. They are nervous. This opposition is strong. This opposition strong like a lion. Listen, listen. I know you all don't like, some of you don't like when I take out the belt, right? But I tell you something, they are feeling the lashes. They are social media is letting these people feel some lashes. And that is why they want the cybercrime bill, you know. Yes, they want the cybercrime bill because they're getting lashes. Lashes on the bum bum. Mm-hmm. That is what is happening. Mr. Thorne lashing them on the inside of the parliament, and the people are lashing them on the outside. They are not getting away with one thing, not one thing. And the same thing that we do for this government, any government that comes in, all 260 of us strong that have put them in will take out the switch. We will go pick a tamarind switch when we're ready and put them in line. That's what we do. Because we Bajan, and we strong. And we strong. We Bajan, and we strong. So like a calypso. Listen, I am excited. I'm excited. Let me tell you, listen, why am I so excited? You know, these people went again, and all week they have been messing with my Facebook account. And today I went on, Facebook says they are convinced that it's not me, it's not my account. Facebook is now convinced it's not my account. There are two of me? Oh Lord, I don't, can the world manage two of me? But anyway, they said it's not my account. And I've been suspended from Facebook for 6 months. Lord of mercy. What am I going to do but laugh? What am I going to do but laugh? So I am not on Facebook. I am suspended for 6 months. What they want with me? I'm a nice, kind lady. What did I do, anyone? Did I bother you? Did I bother you? What did I do? Huh? 6 whole months of Facebook? Oh my Lord. I'm going to have to find a way to get on some other platform, Facebook. You ain't keeping me in no jail, Facebook, because I didn't do anything wrong. It's me. They said that my account is fake. Oh Lord of mercy. I tell you, they just love to take a set on me. I got the Bajans one way, and I got the Guyanese the other way. Them Indian Guyanese vicious too, you know. So they're coming at me, the Bajans, the BLP supporters, they at me one way, and here comes the guy in Indian Guyanese another way. Oh Lord. But I've got the Lord on my side. I got one big angel over here, Hey, and another big angel over here. Woo! And over my head is the presence of God, and I am covered. So you're going to watch and see. They don't want people to see me, but you're going to watch and see. I will be seen, I tell you. This show will be seen all over. And we have an anniversary coming up on the show. Y'all, we have an anniversary coming up on Wednesday. Wednesday. We have an anniversary coming up. And that anniversary, it's the first ever that we had. The Marcia Week show was on June 19th, 2020. The 19th of June, 2020. 4 years. 4 years we have been going with the show. 4 years. You want to tell me Facebook don't recognize me? Oh, no. Ah, that says not me. Oh, Lord. I am so full of faith. I am so full of life. I'm so full of determination. I'm so full of commitment. I'm so full of joy. I'm so full of energy. Tell them, keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Because I tell you, I'd be like a rubber band. You pull me in like a poof. I'm coming back. They pull me. Woo, I'm right back there. Right back there. Oh my Lord. Let me welcome everybody before I play the anthem. Bajan boy, you feeling it like me, Bajan boy. Good evening, loyal opposition. Awaiting. He said awaiting. And he was on at 6:02. Queen B, good evening. 800 likes tonight. You know, Queen B, you got it, because I'm not on Facebook. Usually on Facebook we have an extra 100 or so. So no, we don't have any Facebook. My personal page is suspended for 6 months, and my Facebook and the Marcia Week show is suspended. All my other accounts are suspended as well. So I need you. I'm not complaining because I'm expecting something great. Our anniversary is on June 19th. God wants to do something big. Forget Facebook. I'm not worried about them. We have appealed. Of course, we've appealed because we know we didn't do anything wrong, you know. And but Erwin, I want you to share. You've got to do something special for me tonight. Share this, Erwin, this link in all of your WhatsApp groups, okay? Just go ahead and share in all of your WhatsApp groups. Share on your Facebook pages. Share, take this link and share it everywhere where that you can share it. Share it, please. You have to help me tonight, because you think if we didn't have something to say, if I didn't have fantastic panelists like Caswell Franklin and Kemar Stewart and Rose Corbin and all my guests coming in, and Maxine McLean and the guests from all over the Caribbean coming in my show, you think they would want to stop it? If it was boring and not doing anything to them, you think that they would want to stop it? No. So we're not even worried. We're not going to worry about them. We're just going to share. We're just going to do what we have never done before. Do something with this that you've never done before. I'm even going to go and try to explore how do I pay YouTube to get my stuff, pay a little money and try to push it. Seeing that they're trying to stop it, let's try to push it. Everybody, and they can't stop us. Wherever I go into town, people stop me. Miss McLean, they stop her everywhere. They stop Caswell everywhere. People stop us all over. People are watching, so they could try all they want. It's not working. Tell them to do something else. Go and find something else to do. And we bless those that are doing it, because that's the only thing I can do for them. I can only bless them, because I know that when you go and you trouble people that don't trouble you, watch it. It will be tough for you. So the best thing I can do is somebody with a loving heart is to bless you and ask God to have mercy on you for what you have been doing all this week. You are mischievous and you're evil in your intent. But God will take care of you. I bless you. You must remember when you go ahead and you trouble people that don't trouble you. Okay? Be careful now. Be careful. All right. It's me. Good evening, Junie Rock. Good evening, Queen Bee. You're right, Queen Bee. We're going to talk about that. Not a word from the PM or the Attorney General. Well, no. The Attorney General. I believe there was a quote in the newspaper today. We're going to look for that and read that. I know Dave is listening. He's going to try to find. There is a quote from the Attorney General telling us, "Oh, there's nothing wrong. I mean, we are accustomed to this now." He says, "Yeah, this is not no. Nothing is wrong with that. Four black men shot down in 7 days. That's normal for Barbados," is what the Attorney General is saying. Oops. Okay, Owen Hines. How you do from Philly? FX Trading, Diana Husbands. Oh my Lord. Oh my. Yes. It's me. Good evening. Oh, Peter King. How are you, Peter King? It's great to have you on tonight. Mystic Angel, how are you? I've got angels all around me. Mystic Angels. Somebody watching me say, "What is she on tonight?" I am just on victory. I am on victory. I had my prayers before I came on. That's it. No, somebody said, "What's she sniffing?" Victory. Victorious Queen. I am a victorious queen tonight. Victory. That's why I'm excited. I know that we're doing something good, CG. I know. They're not going to try anything with people's page. Are not doing anything. You ain't doing nothing. They're not doing nothing to you. All right. So we onto something. Yes. James Ford. Good evening. Rose Green. How you doing, darling? Marcia, my namesake. You know what Marcia means, huh? Spirit of a warrior. And we don't give up. So watch our go multiply this week. We gonna multiply this week. Watch it. Watch it. Watch the YouTube page. You're gonna see what's gonna happen this week. This is my anniversary week. Watch it. We gonna multiply. They're gonna sorry that they touch it. Pauline Maynard, how you doing? Just in time. Rose Green, King Man. Woo-hoo. Nat Grant, how are you? Lemuel Tall, how are you? Beverly Blast, Prescott, Michael Jilts, Judy Jilts. Oh, you related. Leanna Bell, good evening. Teroni Hall. Listen, this is one show people say they go and get their popcorn and they get ready to watch. FX Trading, but listen, you're going to pop them popcorn, but you want to share, right? You want to like and share. When you like, you know what it does. The people can find us faster, right? Based on the algorithms. So I'm going to need you to like, and share. Yes. Terone, Barbados. Oh Lord, Embassy Bob, yes, start liking and sharing. Yes, Liana Bell, tell them here, like and share. What you all think you're here for? Your pretty looks? You think you're here to sit back and you're sipping your tea? You better work them little fingers. Like and share, like and share. That's what you do. Gelbies, ooh! I hope I get to see you tomorrow. How many of you know that the march is on tomorrow? The march is on tomorrow. There are 410 of you here. How many of you out of the 410 going to be at the march now? Let's be real. I know some of my people, you're not, you might not be able to get out there to march and so on. And I'm very aware of that. But those of you who can, if you can, you've got to be out there. It takes commitment. It takes drive. It takes determination. It takes drive. We put in drive and you keep going. You keep going. You remember when what's the name of the lady that in the US that was getting all this enslaved people? And Manasseh, how you doing? And her name soon come to me with an H. I can't remember it now. But listen, you think she start and stop? My girl was going back all the time to get those people free. Huh? She was going back all those times to get those people free. Harriet Tubman. You think she went one time and both she tired and sit underneath a tree? What are you talking about? Huh? You guess what? We accomplished it yet? No. We have accomplished some things though. What do you think we have accomplished since we started this journey? Since we started this journey, what have we accomplished? If you think we have accomplished anything, put it in the chat. Everybody, whatever you think we've accomplished nothing, say nothing. But if you think we've accomplished something, list CG, those who have been with us from the day one, Gelbis, all of you who have been at the day one. Let me not start to call people's name because then I miss out people and then my loyal opposition, they're going to come from me and start opposing me. So let me tell you, forgive me. So you go ahead and you type in and you let me know what have we accomplished since we have begun. Think about it. And as you put it down, as you write it down, should we stop? I can just see Harriet Tubman going and getting those families, going in and getting her people to say, let my people go. Mm-hmm. She was going to go get them. She didn't stop and say, I can't bother. My girl had to go. And she was going. Commitment. Sometimes I tell you, it's just when you're about to get on that mountaintop and get where you need to go, sometimes it is at that time that you get weary and you get tired. Do you know that? You know, in your personal lives, if you sit back and you think about it, just when you are about to get hold of that particular thing, right? Just at that time, what started to happen? You start to doubt yourself, you can't bother, and then you push a little bit and you're like, oh my God, it actually happened. It actually happened. I can't believe it. But if you had given up, suppose I had given up when I was coming on here with 30 people and 20 persons on here, you know, and I talking big and good afternoon, and it's just a few little people there, you know, and sometimes they go down, sometimes it go down to 1, 2, 3, because they come on and they just come on to say hi, just my little friends, and you know, not family, but friends come on to say hi, so they don't want me to feel shame. What if I had stopped then? Well, Mr. when Maxine McLean called me, I would never have anything to invite everybody to come on. Would have nothing. Who's that? Whitney Houston sings that. I would have nothing. So you hear me? You don't give up. You too tired to come out tomorrow? Come on, girl. Come on, guy. Get out of the bed and get some some breakfast and come down the road and bring your water and your walking shoes and let's take it down the road tomorrow. Let's take it down the road tomorrow. It is not time to give up. It is not time to give up. Okay. And I'm here chatting away and I did not play the anthem just yet. You believe that? So listen, let me play the anthem and then I'm going to bring on the general is up front tonight. So you got to share. 493 of you. Come on, people. The general is coming on just after the anthem, something great is going to happen tonight. So please. Anthem is coming up now. And you are sharing, you are liking, you are helping me to share, you are pushing back when these people are trying to get me off. I can't come on Facebook in 6 months. Let me tell you, the devil is a liar. We sharing, okay? All right. When feel that excitement in the air, in the air. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is like the Olympics, you know, and you hear your anthem. When you hear your anthem playing at the Olympics, you know there is victory. And we play the anthem tonight. We're going to pretend we are at the Olympics and we are saying there is victory. We are claiming victory over that cybercrime bill, you know. No 7 years in jail. Oh Lord, free as a bird. All righty. And tomorrow, Mr. Franklin, good evening. How are you?
Yes, good evening. I'm fine, Marcia. Surprisingly enough, today is Friday and I feel like I can go another couple of days.
Yes, man. I tell the people we are excited because we're doing wonderful work. And, you know, I know that they're not tired. I know they're feeling just as energized as we are. It's good to see you. And I know you told me you're going to be at the march tomorrow, Mr. Franklin. Why are you coming to the march tomorrow, Mr. Franklin?
I missed the last one because I had a doctor's appointment and I can't miss two. That's the first motive. And the other reason is that we have to protest this nonsense. We cannot sit down and be like sheep and allow the government to treat us that way. They know what they're doing is wrong. They have seen what has happened in other jurisdictions. If they propose this legislation without checking it, because it is not homegrown legislation, and if they proposed it without checking, which is bad enough as it is, when they see what has happened or what is happening to other people, they should have said, whoa, let me stop this thing because this isn't for Barbados. No, but they're going off at warp speed to achieve something that will hurt Barbadians. These cannot be our friends. And I'm going to highlight it as long as I can. And I don't even want this contemplate it passing, but if it passes, I will continue to protest it because it is wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so tomorrow we're out. We're out tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and it is we're right there at REDMAN Drive at the lights on Fontebelle. That's exactly where we're going to be tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The truck is there. And Mr. Franklin, I came by you and collect some donations and went down, and we paid up for the police. They're going to bring the permit. We have such a relationship. I told them they didn't have it ready. I said, don't you worry. I paid. You see, this is a receipt right there. Paid for the police services. And they want me to explain to the public that I'm paying for police services and not for the permit. And that's it. So it's right there. It's right there. Paid up. And we need donations, Mr. Franklin, for tomorrow because we still have to pay. We still had a little bit left back from the roadside parliament that we were paying, and so we do have to pay for the sound for tomorrow and the truck for tomorrow, and that together that's about 1,000. So I was so on this one we're almost finished on this one, but because we had stuff from last time that we had outstanding. So we still have the truck and we have the sound system, okay? And so tomorrow when you come down, you know you come and you shake my hand. Some of you standing on Cave Shepherd, you still bring the donation, you don't come in, but you call me and you shake my hand. All right, so make sure you shake my hand real heavy tomorrow. Mr. Franklin, I want to play your favorite song before you start and make you feel real excited. So I told Dave, get that song because a lady telling me here, Marlene tell me easy. I use the word pretend. She said easy on that word pretend, Marcy. You know the word pretend don't mean the same thing to us anymore. Yeah, but Dave, let's play pretend. Let's change it up a bit. I'm playing pretend
to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. Good at maths nor English. English. Pretending to be good. I pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
I know you will be happy with that one. I know you will be happy with that one.
And that
Over
has
to
to go
you.
down as my favorite tune.
That's your tune for Crop Over. Go right ahead, Mr. Franklin.
Marcia, I have been having some queries and some pushback. Well, I remember some time ago I spoke about the Shops Act. And some people heard. And they are now coming back to me telling me that the things that I say, that they are still being forced to go through. And we even had the trade union for employers, the Barbados Employers Confederation, coming out and making statements that are totally untrue. Mind you, it would hurt the workers and put some more money in the employers' pocket. So I'll start there. The Employers Confederation sent out a circular to their members, the last bank holders that we had. Some person brought it to my attention. I said I was going to ignore them, but people keep coming. So I said, let me put it to rest once and for all, but hopefully once and for all, because, you know, these things have a way of coming back at you. The Employers Confederation says that managers and supervisors in the stores are not shop assistants.
Okay.
But let me read what a shop assistant is for the purposes of the Shops Act. But let's start with shop. Shop means subject to subsection 3.2. Any premise or place in which a person, one, conducts, manages, or carries on any retail or wholesale trade or business, or two, conducts business by providing services in respect of the sale or hire of commodities, whether or not the business is conducted, managed, or carried on to the exclusion of or in addition to any other business. So, like for instance, if you have a hotel and you have a restaurant in the hotel, it is a shop, right? If you have a little thing, it is a shop. So the staff will be treated as shop assistants, right? And it says, and it also includes any place used for the storage of goods, the receipt of orders for goods, or the dispatch or delivery of goods dealt with in the business. So even the warehouse where you sell wholesale, for the purpose of the Shops Act, the people that work there are shop assistants.
Okay.
And it says here, shop assistant means any person except a member of the occupier's family, directly or indirectly employed in operations carried on for the purpose of the sale or hire of articles, or B, employed in connection with the trade or business of a shop, including clerical or other office work. So even if you had a clerk doing the payroll and that person works at your shop, that person is a shop assistant. Not necessarily the people who come to you and say, can I help you? So whatever you work, so whoever on that shop floor is a shop, but why they want to say that these people are not shop assistants, I'll get to that later. I don't want to go over the sequence. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason why they don't want that. Because it would apply and give more money to those managers. Right? So I suspect it. And for instance, this act says application of this act. And it says cinemas, laundries, and businesses providing betting and gaming services. They're all shops. And they go on to say the health and safety standards prescribed by Part 4 of the Act apply with the necessary changes to employees of the following businesses. And it says cinemas, laundries, business providing for betting and gaming services, businesses for providing floral services, business providing barber services, and business providing beauty and cosmetic services. These are all shops.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just some place you go in and take your money and find your pound of sugar, or you're going to buy a shirt. Right? So if you are working in one of these businesses, you are employed in a shop, and the Shops Act regulate your terms and conditions of employment. Now I will go down to section 6 of the Act, and I'll go through that slowly because it is very important. I don't want to miss much there. All right?
Yeah.
Section 6. I got my notes, right? So I always make notes. A shop assistant regular hours of work are 8 hours per day or 40 hours for a 5-day work week. Right? That's section 6. That's beyond 40 hours. And that goes on subject to subsection 6. No shop assistant shall be required to work A, on any day for more than 4.5 consecutive hours without an interval of 1 hour for mealtime. Some shops are still giving people half an hour.
Wow.
Especially in the hotels. They give people half an hour and tell them, but the law says you must give them 1 hour for lunch. And you see, and for not more than 8 hours in the aggregate to run continuously from the time he commences work, but excluding the interval for lunch. So basically, you will be away from work at home at least for 9 hours, 4 for before lunch and 4 after, but you don't count the lunch hour, right?
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to work more than 5 days a week. But there's an exception. They go on at subsection 4 says, where a shop assistant work on the public holiday or on the day off, that shop assistant is entitled to be paid twice as much as his ordinary rate. They are still giving people time and a half. The business work pick up and they ask you to come in your day off, that's double time. But they're not giving the people the double time. Right? So I just want the shop assistants and people to hear what is happening and to see what is happening to them, because there are penalties for doing so. Overtime, for any other time, overtime that the shop assistant is entitled to be paid is 1.5 for shop assistant. That's the ordinary rate. If you work 8 hours and you work over that 8 hours, because they can't force you, but if you agree to work over 8 hours, it's time and a half. But if it is a public holiday or your day off, it's double time. And it says, this is I want to hear carefully. No shop assistant shall be required to, without his consent, A, to work overtime, or B, to work on the day he observes as the day of religious worship. So if you're an Adventist, they can't get to work on a Saturday, and there's no repercussions to you. They can't fire you if you are an Adventist and you say, well, I worship on. So that's like they open on Sundays now. You say, but I go to church on Sunday. I'm a religious person, and that's my day. And they have to plan their business around you for that day because they cannot do anything about it. It goes on. An occupier who dismisses or otherwise penalizes a shop assistant for refusing to work overtime or to work on the day the shop assistant observe as his day of religious worship is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $50,000 or to imprisonment for 3 years or to both. So, but right now, what a lot of these employers are doing, they're forcing people to work overtime. It is a crime.
Wow.
And a lot of people do not know, so they go and take it and grumble. And they're making them work 6 days a week and thing, and they and people are angry, but they don't know that there's something that they can do about it. These are necessary. For instance, you got to provide seats for shop assistants. You don't be sitting down and say, well, you want a shirt, go over there. Then the people come into the store, you have to get up and attend them. But when you're not busy, and they must provide seats for you. Right? I remember when PriceSmart first opened, I went there and there were no seats. Beyond my usual malicious stuff, I asked, but I said, who's this manager here? And they tell me, some fellow over there said, excuse me, you know that you got to put seats in here for these people to sit on? And it is the law.
Wow.
You cannot have this place with shop assistants and they're going to stand up. This in North America. And eventually they provided some uncomfortable seats. And the staff were so afraid they wouldn't sit on them. I can tell you, at first, when the first came down here, PriceSmart, I went in there and tell them, look, this is shops, I mean PriceSmart. They provided seats. After I went in there and make noise, mind you, I didn't represent a single soul at PriceSmart at the time, but I saw it was wrong, and I couldn't allow them to get away with that. So I informed them, because they might not know. And this is another thing that happens. People come to Barbados to set up business. They don't know the laws, but they get a lawyer to help them set up, and the lawyer tries to teach them how to avoid complying with the law, rather than tell them this is what the law says. And people look at me and tell me, this is my place, you can't tell me how to do it. I said, no. The law says that if you want to operate in Barbados, this is how you're going to operate. Failing that, I'm going to get it reported, and I'm going to get it shut down or something. You can't come here and treat business so. Wherever you come from, you feel that it is okay, you go back there. But we have laws because we have some jurisdictions where you can't get vacation unless you in the States. Some places in the United States, if you want vacation, you just take it, but you don't get paid. We have paid vacations. And people want to come on and tell people they're not paying for vacations because they think it's a cost to them. But no, it's a cost of doing business in Barbados since 1951. But it started in 1952. The act was passed in 51, but it was a 52 piece of legislation. And we just sit down and allow people to take advantage of us. And they are so afraid. Businesses are too frightened. And the thing is, there are laws to protect them. And I don't know, Marcia. It just pains me to think that my people could be treated like slaves again. And this time they pay them pittance. They pay them minimum wage, $8.50 an hour. $8.50 an hour don't say nothing to nobody. But and what has happened with that $8.50 an hour overtime, I mean minimum wage, the employers didn't make any noise. So they start getting people 4 days a week now. So you end up getting the same amount of money that you were getting or less before they implemented the minimum wage. Mind you, I don't believe people should work for that little bit of money, but government did not, or I don't know how they could, put measures in place to ensure that when you get that minimum wage increase, that it is reflected in your pay packet, because then you go home for 3 days instead of 2. Because right now, again, shop assistants must get 2 days off. Yeah. And there's something else in this section that I want people to be aware of. That in same section 6.2, I hear of people working in restaurants and hotels. They finish off the shift at night, clean up and go home, catch the 11 o'clock bus.
Yeah.
And they're back there 7 o'clock the next morning. That is contrary to the law. There must be, let me read it because I'm not going to paraphrase this one. Right? It says here, subject to subsection 6, no shop assistant shall be required to work. And it goes A, and B says, unless the shop assistant is given an interval of not less than 12 hours off between each shift. So if you finish at 11 o'clock at night, you can't bring anybody back in there before 11 o'clock. That same person before 11 o'clock the next day. But what they do, people hardly get any rest. They're back and they're back. And some major hotels and restaurants are doing it. It's against the law. And nobody, and the thing is, the Labor Department refuses to do anything about it. The Minister of Labor refuses to do anything about it because these people are not worth it to the big ups at the Labor Department or at the Ministry of Labor, Minister included. Oh, these are just poor people, so you can treat them anywhere. You know, like when we had slavery and you used to have the fellow with the whip, he used to beat you for the master. Well, this is what the Ministry of Labor is doing now. Same thing. It's just that the blows are not physical blows, but it is demeaning, even though they have laws in place to say you can't do that. And they're aware. And mind you, there are not a lot of labor officers to do the work, but they'll go and inspect ever so often when they get the chance. They need more. They're 8 now to service Barbados, you know. And you're getting people fired every day unfairly. These are the same people that have to process those cases. So government must prioritize the conditions of service and regulating those conditions of service of persons at the Labor Department so that they can get out there and do the job that they were entitled to. Let me show you something. Prior to the Employment Rights Act and the Employment Prevention Discrimination Act, the Labor Department was short of staff. Now they put employment rights, they put the discrimination, they put sexual harassment on top of those people who were short staff already. They needed staff to cover what they were already doing. They didn't have enough staff. And you put major things on top. And then the more staff. So that is why shop assistants and people of this ilk are suffering, because you know that then nobody can come around and tell you, go to the shops and ask me last time they say an inspector from the Labor Department come in and our labor officer come in and say, but I want to go through this, I want to check this, I want to check the next, I want to check the third. Because there are a lot of things that they must check. They're going to check to see if you provide fresh drinking water, right? You've got to provide proper toilet facilities. You have to have first aid kits available, fire protection equipment. The doors of your store must open out. All of these are things that the department should be checking, but there's nobody to check them. And the people don't care. And if you see some of the places that these young people are required to work, and because they're young, the jobs are scarce. You have people at university or just left community college with their associate degree, working as cashiers in some of these places, you know, because there's no work. And you're paying them $8.50 an hour, but they're going to take it. And government is doing nothing to assist people who work under these stringent conditions. It is unfair, it is unreasonable, and but see, the thing is, the person that you spoke about earlier must forgive me. They only pretend to care about people. You know, they go there. It reminds me of a cartoon I saw where the wolf was standing in front of the sheep at the election rally, and the wolf says he pledged that if elected, he would become a vegetarian. That sounds like the Barbados Labour Party. You know, because they make these promises, and you think that things are going to be better. They ain't getting no better. And I hope, having provided this information to workers, that they will stand up to the employers and say, look, you can't do this to me. And failing that, you go to the Labor Department. Mind you, if they dismiss you, and they dismiss you because you went to the Labor Department, that is up to a year's pay as compensation you would get. Let's say you work for 5 years, 6 years, or whatever, you get compensated for those 5 or 6 years, and then the tribunal could award up to another year. But mind you, the tribunals have been stingy, because the most they've ever given me is 6 months. Because when I applied to get the year, they give me 6 months. But I really feel that the tribunals should award the maximum to let employers know that there are consequences, and their consequences, rather than give them a little chump change and let them get away with it. They can do it. If you make a complaint at the Labor Department, or any type of complaint for that matter, about your employer, and he fires you, it is unfair dismissal automatically.
Yeah.
But that is it.
Look at the, you see the face? Look at the
Yes.
face. You see? Let me make that big. And as I'm making that big, remember, look at the question that is on there. Listen, you see, let me tell you, you think our team is joking? You see how fast they put that head on there, Mr. Franklin?
Mm-hmm.
Whose face is on that? Once elected, I'll be a vegetarian. That team is so fast. But go ahead. There's a question on here, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, if you can agree to work 6 days, but the 6 days must be paid at the overtime rate. The law allows you to work to make an arrangement with your employer to work 6 days, but that 6 day is an overtime day.
Right.
All right. So yes, you can. There's nothing to stop you from agreeing, because the law can be. The law has provided certain instances where they say you can't contract outside of this, because to protect you. Like, for instance, before they changed the Holidays with Pay Act, it used to be you had to get a vacation in 1 piece or 2 pieces and no more. But it is but no, they changed it to 1 piece or 2 pieces or 2 periods, I call it periods, or such other periods as the employer and the employee agree. But the employer cannot say, look, I can give you a week now and more later on. That is a criminal offense if you disagree. Also, what I want to mention, I was just trying to make people aware of what the provisions of the Shops Act, and a lot of things are shops that people don't believe are shops, right? But there is one thing that I heard. I think it was the chairman of the Sanitation Service Authority saying that there will be repercussions for people who went on strike. there can be no repercussions legally. If you look at the Trade Union Act, the Trade Union Act Section 40A, 40, capital A, says that it is an offense punishable. It's a small fine, so I think the employer can really go to jail and rather 6 months or $1,000 or both. And it says if you not only dismiss, threaten to dismiss or adversely affect your employment. If you dismiss or adversely affect, or you threaten to dismiss or adversely or threaten to adversely affect the employment of a person who went on strike with the union's backing, then that is a criminal offense. So when I hear a person of the ilk of an attorney at law, I understand a prominent attorney too. I understand that he's prominent, saying things like that, he should know, ought to know, because he has put himself in a position. Nobody forced him to be a chairman of a business that employs people. And if he is employing people, he should actually find out what are the parameters under which he must work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't dismiss a person for strike. That is why the nurses, a lot of people do not realize that the nurses strike back in 2021 was the longest strike ever in Barbados.
Really?
Yes, it was. 13 weeks. At the end of 13 weeks, the nurses got back about to work. No repercussions, no threats, just put them on the roster because they knew what the law said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had nurses that actually settled all 13 weeks. And you couldn't do them anything. So I want people to be aware of their rights so that, and something that bothered me. My union told our workers that they should take action to protest. Since they said they don't recognize me, I don't have to deal with them and give them all this information and call them and tell them we can have a strike or whatever. They're not dealing with me. They're not speaking to me. But even so, they're not speaking to me. The act protects me still and protects my members still, because it says that if you propose, even if you were thinking about forming a union, and the employer find out and they mistreat you, even though your union has not even been registered yet, they can't adversely affect your employment. Right? And oh, by the way, I gotta mention, because one of our friends had been harassed and then told that we don't have enough members and stuff. You only need 7 members to form a union. 7. But you know I got more than 7. I got more at 7 at Bra. So don't let people tell you things. You see, Belgians have a way of answering questions, whether they know the answer or not. You know, and before you say, I really don't know the answer, I will check and get back to you. They speak definitively as though they know what they're talking about. And I see too much of that, Marcia, because if you read the cases from the tribunal actually had to say in one of its decisions that the person did not qualify for the benefit, the unfair dismissal, and they had to throw out the case because of their union's fault. And they're saying that they don't have a case against the company anymore. It should be against the union. They put that in the decision of the tribunal, because first of all, if you are dismissed and you believe it is unfair, you must report the matter to the Labor Department. You make a complaint to the Labor Department. and they will give you something to sign because it must be in writing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do that within 90 days, unless you can give a good reason why you did not get there within 90 days, the tribunal is barred from hearing your case. And it has to be something like, but I was in hospital in a coma, or something like that, where you can say, well, you can possibly get there in 90 days. But what has happened? You can make excuses, and the tribunal can determine whether we can extend the time. But they will not extend the time for persons like me, who are professionals in this area. If you have a lawyer or a trade unionist representing you and you don't file on time, bam, you dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So every time some person comes to me for a case for unfair dismissal, I say, go to the labor department, make the claim, and then come back to me. I will deal with it, but I will deal with that after. But I want to make sure that your claim is registered first.
Right.
And this is not the first time that the tribunal said that that Barbados Workers Union ain't no way doing, you know. It says so in the case with, I think she is Rachel Lane and G4S. When there's it says the person suffered but they said the person relied on their union to their detriment.
Wow.
Those were the words of the tribunal in a written decision. And then I come back to the case with standards where this guy had been dismissed for taking a piece of garbage, something that they were going to dump. He took it up, and they fired him. And the union took years to get the matter before the tribunal. And they said, the tribunal said, you have a case against the union, not the employer anymore. That you see, once before the Employment Rights Act, unions used to go in their place and thump the table and frighten people and say we can call a strike. But even if you call a strike, you still gotta get the case filed, you know.
Right.
Something that workers must know, because everybody ain't gonna join unity. So I can tell people, if you have a case for unfair dismissal and the union ain't pushing it, you go and file it yourself, or you will lose. Because, and don't say the union is in discussion, because one thing that the union had relied on is that they were still in discussion with the employer. And the employer know that they were foolish, so the employer keep them talking till after the 3 months gone. And as the 3 months gone now, they said we ain't gonna talk to you no more because you ain't got the case no more. And it didn't happen once, twice that I know about so far, and might be more. And you know, I said I've been learning. So make sure, even if you are still in discussion, because what happens, I make discussions with the employer and I file the case. If we come to a good conclusion, we will tell the tribunal, the labor department, we ain't bothering with that case no more. But you can't wait till after 90 days and then come and say, well, the negotiations break down, so we won't fight now. Too late.
Yeah. But Mr. Franklin, we have some questions here. This is very interesting. And there's a comment that I saw on tonight, and I'm asking you guys to keep liking and keep sharing. Everybody, please do that. You know that they took my Facebook and tell me I can't come back on in 6 months. So I need you guys to help me, okay? To share. We're helping ourselves, really. So we're going to share and we're going to like. We're going to share, we're going to like. Please do that. But someone made a comment that what you are speaking on tonight, what you are educating us on tonight, should be taught to school leavers. When they're leaving school, they should know, because a lot of times those are the ones that are taken advantage of. The school leavers should be taught, and you know what, I'm going to follow up on that, because I would love to put something together for Mr. Franklin to talk with school leavers on this this issue. There's a question though. Someone want to know if a minister of government can do other work on a Saturday or Sunday.
A minister of government is barred from working other than as a minister. You can't do other work. That's why they pay them handsomely. That doesn't stop them. And they'll tell you, they even work during the week. They go to their law offices on mornings. They go to the Attorney General's office on morning, and then you go back to their office. So I saw that myself. And then work for the law firm, and they're chastising lawyers during the middle of the day. I saw that myself. Nobody can tell me otherwise.
So they're not supposed to. There's another question.
They're not supposed to do that. As a matter of fact, it would be hard for them to want work and then got a law banning civil servants from working unless they get permission. Civil servants are not allowed to work unless they get permission from the president or outside of their job. And the thing is, you would get permission if it is something that wouldn't got you tired the next day that you can't go work, or it does not conflict with your duties. Like, for instance, people at BRA should not be doing people's accounts and helping them to avoid taxes. People at BRA should not be doing valuations, especially people who work down and this stuff, but they do all it now, right? And they are protected.
Right.
There's
another question, Mr. Franklin. They want to know, is overtime and a half of our rate by law? I don't understand the way.
Time and a half, yes. If you work over 8 hours a day, you get time and a half after the 8 hours. If you work on a bank holiday or your day off, if they call you in, it's double time.
Okay. So another question. I'm trying to get the questions in because these are practical things for our people and for family members. I'm listening for my son, who's just started a little internship thing there. So
let me answer Lamel Tull. He said, do union officers go through any training? Well, let me put it this way. We used to. I don't know if they do it now. I remember when I first joined the union and UPW, I'm not the type of person to join things and don't turn up for meetings and stuff. So I went to meetings and I started asking questions. First day, because I didn't understand what was happening. And then one go to meeting and sit down and clap and everybody's talking over my head. So I stopped myself. I don't understand what's going on. So they explained it to me. Same thing happened in credit union. And then people saw something in me and they made me a shop steward. Before I could go and represent anybody, the union had the shop steward training course, basic, and then advanced, so to equip me with the necessary training so that I can represent workers. And UPW had at once, I don't know if they still have, what they call a public workers academy, where they trained you and they train even other workers outside of their officers, the union officers like shop stewards and stuff. They trained them. The Barbados Workers Union had the Labor College. They shut it down. I don't know how you could. I went to the Labor College myself, and I was trained at the Labor College too. Because training used to be integral to the operations of unions.
Right.
As a matter of fact, NUPW sent me to the George Minnie Center for Labor Studies in Silver Spring, Maryland to do training. And then after that, they sent me to the ILO Training Center in Italy, also to do training. I trained at the Labor College because the NUPW is part of the Caribbean Congress of Labor, and we were entitled to send people to the ILO training, and they sent me. I was trained in mediation, arbitration, conciliation, arbitration, complements the ILO, complements of NUPW.
Yes.
So training used to be part of the thing. I remember some years ago, when the Labor College was still running, they invited a panel at KFL to discuss industrial relations. And one of the questions I asked the panel was, what are the threats to industrial relations in Barbados? And everybody, some very big names in the business, gave it nice high-sounding things, you know. And of course, you know, I'm not a high-sounding fella. So when they get to me, I was the last person on the panel that asked me, I said, you know, the biggest threat to industrial relations in Barbados is the program you have here at KFL. You don't teach the people anything. Yeah. Nobody can leave this program that you have here and hit the ground running. You need to accredit the courses at the Labor College, because that is what we do every day. That is what, so you go there and give people a lot of surveys to go and do, and nobody can't, they come out. I said, look, when I turn up at the meeting and I see somebody, a graduate from KFL in this program, I say, oh, God, I just go wait to the end, because they don't train them properly. Not even the university is training people properly in industrial relations and HR and in industrial relations. They don't. They're going to give them some textbook that don't talk about Barbados laws or Barbados conditions, and they walk up with this degree, and then they can't function. And unfortunately, the public service say, you got this brand, you get promoted. But they should look at the content of the program. The program needs a Labor College input, what the Labor College used to do, rather than what, because I had old men that taught me, a fellow like Clyde Seeley. Clyde Seeley didn't go past primary school, you know, but he was one of the top-notch industrial relations people in Barbados, especially when it comes to public service, because he went through training at NUPW to equip him, and eventually after his retirement, he joined the union staff, and he worked there for a number of years, and was very successful, and he helped to train me.
So the training, so a lot of them are lacking training, and we are so happy that we can have you on here tonight. And as I'm listening, I'm thinking we need to educate those school leavers, and also those who are leaving university, those young people. Mr. Franklin, we thank you so very much tonight, and it's just a tip of the iceberg, guys. We're going to have some more time at the end, and Miss McLean is going to come on later. Kimar is coming on, and we're going to have some discussion about. We're going to talk about what has happened there at the Exim Bank. With you know that big loan going to Mark Maloney. We're going to talk about the crime situation now with Senator Nakid from Trinidad is on. And he's a no-nonsense senator, and I thought he should come on and hear what is happening in Barbados here with our crime situation, what's happening in Trinidad, what's happening in Jamaica, and let us hear his thoughts on how do we curb all of this in our society. Remember, we have a march tomorrow. Our march is tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and one of the things that we're marching about, we are marching about this crime situation. So we're marching about the cybercrime bill, but we're not tone deaf. We're also hearing what else is happening there. We say cybercrime, but there's another crime that is happening on the ground there, where we just had 4 young men were killed by the bullet. We lost 4 young men through gun violence in this country this very week in 7 days. And we heard the Attorney General. I heard the news this morning where he's saying, well, why are we alarmed? Oh, remember we had the shooting in Sheraton Mall, and we had this and we had that and all kinds of different things. Why are you alarmed? Don't be alarmed. 4 shootings in 4 deaths in 1 week by gunshot. You should not be alarmed about that, is basically what he's saying. Let me welcome Senator Nakid from Trinidad. Welcome, sir. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I think he's stuck. Seems like he needs his Wi-Fi is not very strong. Ah, okay. Let's see what we can do. We can hello, Senator Naked. You might need to, if you're hearing us, you might need to turn off your camera to save your Wi-Fi.
I'm not hearing you
Yeah,
at all.
something. Okay,
I'm hearing you very. Turn off the camera.
yes, try that and let's see. Yes. Let's talk now and let's see. Good night, Senator Naked. Ah, still not working. Okay, so we're going to ask you to go out and come back in with your camera off. Let's try going out and come back in. I think your Wi-Fi might not be strong enough. Okay. But Mr. Franklin, let's switch over to talk about this crime situation that is happening in Barbados. That the AG is saying that you know that we should not be too alarmed, that they are going to get it under control and so on. So, what are your thoughts about what's going on?
Out of the mouth of fools comes foolishness. That's my first comment.
Why
Because
is it foolishness?
when I read his comment, I cannot believe that some person who is a parent, I'm not even talking about an attorney general or any official in government, that is their parent, would speak to, but speak that nonsense. You know, I saw the father of one of the victims on a video that was being circulated. I felt his pain, you know, and the attorney general basically saying it's a big thing, you know. And don't let them think about what happened years ago. They made it an issue when they had a lot of crime under the last administration. It was a big thing. So how come it is not a big thing now? When it was when they were not in power. You see, sometimes you must acknowledge when something is bad and say, not because you're in power, that you're going to say, oh, no problem. If it is wrong, say so. And say, if you say yes, we recognize that it's getting out of hand and we have to deploy more resources to get the same. We have to find ways and means of addressing the young men, because they're basically young men. See what are their needs. Say something sensible. Don't go out there and make stupid comments, because that comment deserves, as Founder said once, it deserves to be punished with laughter. It is. I don't understand it, honestly. You just can't be defending everything. But let me tell you why my problem, what I think is, you see, but my thesis. This administration knew who the criminals are. So not knew, they know who the criminals are. And those criminals were invited to the House of Assembly for the state opening of Parliament. I will never forget, my wife did not get an invitation because the man had enough space. But some of those criminals were seen at the state opening of Parliament. I wanted to buy my wife a big hat so she could walk through the place like everybody else and stuff. No, she couldn't come. They had no space for her. I wanted her to be proud of me and come and support me. She can't come. But criminals got the opportunity to come. So you know who their constituency is. That's part of their constituency, the criminals. And they know who the criminals are. So when the crime rate went up, they could go to people and say, look, stop this foolishness, and we can put you in a peace program if you don't kill nobody, if you don't shoot nobody, that kind of stuff. And you realize it went on for a little bit. The other communities now are saying, we want a peace program too, so we can show you. So they're auditioning. They are looking. It was the silliest thing that you could come and pay criminals. When you know who the criminals are, tell the police. That's what the police are there for. But instead of telling the police, when the police go to do their job, you could tell them, back off. Remember that it was Good Friday or whatever that was during COVID? Police were embarrassed into going back to the station with their tail between their legs because a criminal was able to pick up the phone and call the prime minister and say, get this police off my back. That is the, you said she sowed a win and we are now getting the whirlwind.
Yeah. But Mr. Franklin, I have a video and I'm trying to, I got it. I think I got it fixed and I'm going to try to find it and see if Dave can, because what you see that what is happening is that we're seeing what you're talking about is that the state is actually in their action, they're sanctioning certain behavior. And I don't know if they realize or they realize and don't care. So, for example, when you put on an event and you have, this is not gun violence, but when you have a young lady at an event that is sponsored by the Barbados Labour Party at the new garden, botanical gardens. You remember they were sponsored by the Barbados Labour Party. And now when you have a young girl on there carrying a 13-year-old, behaving as though she's carrying out a sex act at 13. And I have, I have, my understanding is that the child was 13 years old, okay, from good sources. And when you have that, I'm going to show it to you, but we're blocking out the face of the child, okay? And they're carrying on almost like a sex act on stage. And it is put on by the prime minister in her constituency. So you're going to tell me, I mean, she has to be there. And all of these MPs are there. And this is a cheering on that is going on. And nobody in their right mind believes that they need to go and stop this thing that is happening on stage, where a big man is directing a 13-year-old girl to carry on lay down on the ground and behaving like she's having sex to a song. And there's cheering and the child is 13 years old. And I believe it is just this kind of careless. There are no standards.
It's also criminal. It's called contributing to the delinquency of a minor. It's also criminal. But they would allow criminal acts in front of them. They would have criminal acts performed in front of them and with no repercussions. We're not even stop that. You hear me? Not even something like that. I'm not to lock up the body or anything like that, but at least lead by example. Teach people the way they should go. But they want this kind of decadence because it suits their purposes.
Yes. Let me see if Mr. Senator Naked exactly, Leanna Bell, the Child Protection Act, and this is what I'm saying. We are seeing the fruit. We are seeing the fruit of what we have sown. We have sown seeds. There are certain seeds, the way the children are going to school with their hair and their clothes and the behavior and the indiscipline, taking away the power from the teachers. Through the Child Protection Act, you've now taken the power from the parents. And what do we expect to see in the society? What are we expecting to see in the society? When the parents no longer have the rights, the teachers can't do anything. Everything is now left up to the government. And look at what the government is doing. Look at that. And now we are worried that they are taking up a gun and shooting each other. Actually, you're not even worried. You're telling us we don't need to be too worried about it. Let me see if Senator Naked is ready. Senator Naked? Let's see. Senator Naked, good night.
Good night, everyone, and thanks for the invitation. So a very interesting show, judging from the last couple of minutes that I heard.
Yes, sir. Well, it's an honor to have you. To everybody who is listening, This is Senator Naked, David Naked from Trinidad. And I can tell you, this is a no-nonsense senator, and this is why I wanted him to come on. And I know I gave him short notice because we just started this whole discussion in Barbados, Senator Naked, about this increase in gun violence in Barbados. Before we start to talk about Barbados, can you tell us a bit of what is happening in Trinidad in relation to gun violence? Have you seen an increase in gun violence in Trinidad, and what are some of the reasons for that?
Well, some of the reasons for that also has to do with what you just mentioned, which is the hyper sexualized culture and environment that we have across the Caribbean, not only in Barbados or Trinidad and Tobago. We have a very hyper sexualized culture that we advertise and try to communicate to the outside world as part of our Caribbean culture. And that is not culture. I posit it is not culture. I posit these are vestiges of colonialism reinforced by a very intellectually bankrupt government and politicians throughout the Caribbean. And you describe that girl, that young 13-year-old girl who unfortunately has been misguided to the point where, listen, we are what we tolerate. We are essentially what we tolerate and what we accept as a people. And if we, as your guest said, if we continue to accept these things, it's who we become, and it's what we leave for our youth, misguiding them into thinking that this is somehow the right way or this is the way to go. It's what we see, and I think it's again because we have not been completely liberated or comfortable enough in our own space to have an idea of what is our own culture. Having said that, I come back to the gun violence. Well, this is a phenomenon that has hit Jamaica, I would say, and Trinidad and Tobago more than most of the other islands. Now the other islands are catching up, I would say. I read that in Jamaica you had 4 killed within a week. Well, I will let you know for Trinidad and Tobago.
In Barbados,
Barbados, yes. In Barbados, sorry. In Barbados, you had 4 killed within a week. I would say to you, that would be a very slow week for Trinidad and Tobago, because we are having 4 and 5 killed in one session, in one day. And of course, there's no way to hide the fact that we have politicians who are complicit in the importation of drugs and guns, and that contribute to the violence. And they have no regard for our black youth, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, and I would say in Barbados and Jamaica. Now the guns in Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, across the islands, and they can't have access maybe to an employment line. They can't have an access to a program or a policy, because our governments are basically, they have reduced themselves to events and sound bites. And I would say that is the case especially for the politicians that rule now in Jamaica, in Barbados, and in Trinidad and Tobago. Because since I spoke with this panel last time, I've been following very closely the Caribbean politics, and it looks like carbon copies up and down the Caribbean islands. It's all about sound bites, and there are no real policies and programs put in place. There are no public awareness programs directed towards our young boys and girls about the dangers of smoking marijuana, the dangers of drinking. So we have a very low life now culture of drinking alcohol, of smoking marijuana, and and we are seeing the repercussions of that. And who benefits are the people who bring in the drugs and the guns, and that 1% continues to go unscathed, not prosecuted, not persecuted, and our young boys and girls suffer as well as we suffer as well.
Yeah, I heard you talking about politicians being involved in bringing in guns and even the law enforcement and so on. And that's one of the things that I've been talking with some. I talk with some of the guys, and they said to me, "But ma'am, how do you think the guys get the guns? Where they're coming from?" And you're saying in Trinidad. You're saying that they're getting the guns from people who are able, who have they're able to bring them in, they're able to import them. You're saying it's not the guys that's bringing in the guns in Trinidad.
Well, yeah, we have boys, young boys holding guns that are bigger in size than they are, that cost $15,000-$20,000 per piece, and these boys cannot buy a bottle of water. They have no, they, as we say, they literally do not have a pot to piss in, and they have guns that are wreaking havoc across our society in Trinidad and Tobago. And when we look at our borders, for example, our borders are unprotected. The government has done little or nothing to close those borders because it's basically the 1% who bring in the drugs and the guns. I mean, we know who they are. And I have said many times in the parliament and outside of the parliament and who they are. I mean, it's very simple. When you go from being middle class to a billionaire within a decade or even 2 decades, when you have not invented anything, it's very clear where you have gotten your money. Now, a lot of our politicians and businessmen, they have managed to put their money into legitimate enterprise, and then all of a sudden later you hear everybody bowing to them, hearing these people pontificate about their contributions to education and the society, when we all know that they became wealthy through drugs and gun importation. But that is how our societies have become. We have become slaves to wealth. We have become slaves to the philosophy of get rich by any means necessary. And we sometimes think that applies only to young black boys and young black girls, or young black and Indian boys. No, but it applies mainly to these people who see themselves as having the entitlement to move with impunity. And while our young boys and girls suffer, most of them go scot-free. And we have and I will say it clearly, I mean, who gets upset, that's their business. We have a section of our Syrian community who we all know have become multi-millionaires, billionaires through the importation of drugs. And they have entered into legitimate businesses. I mean, someone who was named in a drug report, who became a billionaire of the importation of narcotics and distribution of narcotics, before he died, was considered a professor emeritus. He was considered somebody who was outstanding in our society, that no one would dare say anything about him. And I have called his name many times, and I will continue to call their names, because I do not care that these people who are fawning, our insipid elites in Trinidad and Tobago, bend their knees to these people. Bend their knees to these people while our young boys and girls suffer and our poor and working class people suffer. And the major shareholders, stakeholders of this country, the African and Indians, continue to suffer. And it is what it is. And I am sure, quite sure, that in Barbados and Jamaica and Grenada is the same, because they will find little among our African and Indian populations who have the means to be involved in high stake narcotic importation and distribution. And
They
so
don't
we
have
should
the,
not be surprised. Sorry?
no, I was agreeing with you that they don't have the means to do it. So it has to be coming from somebody else, somewhere else.
And we all know it's quite simple. Follow the money. It's quite simple. Follow the money. When you see somebody owning hundreds of stores and supermarket chains, and you know that a couple decades ago they didn't have those means, it's quite clear. But our governments are complicit because they are financiers of the government. And
Ah,
I would imagine that it's the same throughout the Caribbean, and we have to have people who have the fortitude to speak out against these people, or else we are lost, and we are lost forever.
yeah. Let me ask you something, David Nakin. First of all, Mr. Franklin, this is where I wish I was really wealthy. I would love for him to come to be a speaker at one of our roadside parliament, because this man, whenever he talks, he reminds me of you. Totally no nonsense, saying it as it is. But I want to ask you something, Senator Nakin. In Trinidad, what are some of the policies that you have to curb this gun violence by the government of Trinidad and Tobago? What are some of the policies? What's working and what's not working?
Well, to be honest, nothing works, because even if you have policy, it comes down to enforcement of those policies. So it comes down to a political will to ensure. So we have a lot of legislation on the books to deal with guns and the importation of guns. But to deal with that, first of all, you have to close the borders, because listen, there was a report that stated in Trinidad and Tobago that
Mhm.
most of our illegal guns actually come through the legal ports of entry. Can you believe that?
Repeat what you
And we
just
have a
said.
government.
Repeat what you just said. Most
We,
of the illegal guns come through the legal source of entry.
ports ports of
Ports,
entry.
sir.
And if I tell you that, if I repeat myself 5 and 6 or 7 times, you can believe that, because that is a signal that the government is complicit, because there are no scanners on the ports. Scanners are not working. The government doesn't make sure scanners are not working. Most of the containers that come in are not checked because of the bureaucracy, because of the poor, feeble excuses of the government to have those checked, to employ enough staff, while they spend money on frivolous, trivial things. And of course, these things will come back to bite you. Of course, at some point in time, ending up in a
Okay, he's breaking up a bit there. This is going real good, but it is breaking up now.
they use it to have so-called legitimate businesses. And I hope one day I am afforded a position by Almighty God where I can have legislation where we look at people who have basically legitimized their illegal wealth and have those those assets seized. We have some legislation about that, but it's not enforced, as I said, because a lot of these 1% billionaires that we have in Trinidad and Tobago are financiers of the government, and so they basically have a free hand. They have a lot of
Mhm.
latitude in what happens in as far as enforcement and political will to correct the society is concerned.
Yeah. So you said that it's a lack of enforcement of laws and not closing the borders. Those are some of the reasons why there is an influx of guns, increase in the of gun violence, etc. in the country. Is there anything else? Because we got to compare notes. What else is not working properly in Trinidad? Why you think, you know what, Mrs. Weeks, this is why we have so many guns, an increase of guns in our society in Trinidad. What else?
Well, in addition, if my monitoring service is not well resourced, well funded, if I had a contract, for example, to safeguard the schools of Barbados, but I instead of putting 2 or 3 security officers in every school, or 1 or 2 in every school, but I put 1 or 2 every 3 schools, what do you think would happen? You would consider me a failure as an employer, as a business. Well, it's the same. Our protective services are not well resourced, well funded. We have vessels, OPV or patrol or patrol vessels that are down. The excuse is no petrol to have for them to go out. So our borders are left open. Now, if I tell you that, you would say, well, what kind of banana republic has Trinidad turned into? But that's exactly the case. If you go in a certain place, it's called Stobbles Bay, you will see all our vessels parked up that are supposed to patrol the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. And we don't have we are not a big country. I mean, we are an island, but we are not a big country, especially with the kind of vessels that we purportedly have. They are supposed to monitor with all the radar systems and all of that very, very efficiently. They are supposed to monitor our coast, and they do not. They are always parked up, always in need of repair. So this obviously is a signal from the government that they do not care, that they are purposely not guarding our borders in the correct way, because they are spending money. For example, our government spent $145 million on a car park. Can you believe that? On a car park. And if I tell you, esteemed guests, not on one car park, they built 2 car parks, each costing $145 million. While our borders are not patrolled, while our healthcare system is in a mess, our education is among the worst, which also contributes to the gun violence that we see among the youth. We have an escalating amount of school violence, and I'm not talking about just little scraps and fights. I'm talking about stabbings. I'm talking about horrific violence. You can't believe what you're seeing. You cannot believe what you're seeing among our youth. And instead of our government putting money towards social programs, towards education in that regard, they're spending money on car parks. They're spending money on parties. They are spending money on stadium and stadia, where we per capita have among the most stadia per capita in the world. Yet they continue to build buildings not resourced by human resources to the benefit of the country, but benefit only the contractors and financiers of the government. So this gun violence is a result of all those circumstances, all those issues coming together and giving us what we have now in Trinidad and Tobago, where we have more murders for the year than we have days of the year. So we are destined to reach probably a record over 600 murders for the year in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the wealthiest countries in the Caribbean. That's crazy. That's madness. That's insanity.
So, Mr. Franklin, I mean this is just so enlightening, and I love the way this senator speaks, and which is we could his technicals were better because I just can't see him at a roadside parliament. Well, Mr. Franklin, do you have any questions or a quick comment for Senator Naked tonight?
Yeah, Marcia, it seems as though everything that's happening in the Caribbean is being duplicated. The same wild spending that the government of Barbados is doing. I know I heard from Santa Naked that it is happening in Trinidad, billion a lot of unnecessary things. Spending all that money on this botanical garden for one. It's a waste of time, waste of resources, waste of things. And we don't have the money. Like for instance, in Trinidad, they have oil. Someone heard them say that they didn't have fuel for the boats. I was shocked because Trinidad export oil, but it seemed as though that the criminals are allowed to run rampant because like Trinidad, we have a certain sector of this community. If you go into their stores, you get 3 or 4 clients when they come shopping, but their bank at the end of the day, thousands of dollars. You go into a particular restaurant or chain of restaurants, and the kind of money they're picking, you will have to be selling a hell of a lot more food, and everybody in Barbados will be eating at that restaurant if they could account for the money that they're spending. Nobody sees. And like in Trinidad, we have the laws that can get the authorities to say, well, look, show me where you get all that money from. And that law has existed for years. I have not seen anybody being prosecuted under it. Mind you, we see a little fellow who steals something and he sells and he spends the money, and then they say, oh, they got it for money laundering. I'm not talking about them. I am talking about the people who import the guns and the drugs. The drugs come in, and I tell people, I said it in the Senate when it was a member of the Senate, that one of the things that they have to look for is to look at the fishing boats. Fishing boats are tackled on the ocean and told, okay, you live in a certain district, your mother is being home by yourself by the night. If you don't take these things in, begin by your mother. And the fellas bring the drug, and no customs officer, nobody ever random check the boats coming through the fish. When I spoke about it, Captain Greenwich cursed me badly because he come from a fishing community. But that is the reality in Barbados. The men are hijacked, and not that they want to. They are told that your parents could die, your mother could die, your father could die if you don't let these things going. And nobody, what should happen? I don't expect customs to check every boat that comes in with fish. But they should go there one time and say, look, I checking this boat. Random. So you don't know who got them. So the guns are under the fish. The drugs are in plastic bags under the fish. And you bring them out and drive them away and gone. Nothing happens.
Yeah. Mr. Franklin, somebody is saying here the fishing boats. We should know the yachts as well. So we think.
Yes, they're coming, and they wanted to move customs from down in those ports in St. Peter. The idea was to have customs of roving people, so when the boats actually get here, the people offload the drugs by the time the customs officers get down. But I don't know what became of that. But that was a proposal. Customs officers to be roving, not on the spot, waiting until the boats come in. But when the boats come here, call and say the boats are already here. But that's when the drugs are offloaded.
It's what Senator Naked is saying, the enforcement. I know he's struggling with his Wi-Fi. I don't want to keep him much longer. But Senator Naked, I want you to watch this video. We have blotted out the face of the young girl. And I want you to look at the video, and then I'm going to explain to you what is going on and get your comment on it. And let me see if Dave can put up this video for us. Can we have it up? While we're doing that, everybody, I ask you to like and to share. Now, go ahead and play this. We've had to block out because this is a minor. She's 13 years old. So I play it again, Dave, because I had the thing across the line. Okay, so look at the age. Look at the. Now, Senator Naked, I hope you were able to see my screen. Now, that young lady, that's a young lady I was speaking to you about. And the young lady, as I was saying when you were off, the young lady is 13 years old, and I know I have the facts on that. Okay, so don't come and ask me how I know, but I know. She's 13 years old, and this is an event, Senator Naki, that was put on by the Prime Minister of Barbados. This was put on in for our constituents, and this was the government venue, the Botanical Gardens. This is the Barbados Labour Party that is in government, and this. Nobody stopped this. No one stopped this from happening. And I know we're talking about crime and violence, but most times it's being perpetuated by young people. And when you watch something like this, you can see a kind of a lawlessness that is happening. What's your take on this? If this were to happen in Trinidad, where your prime minister would have sponsored an event, and this kind of behavior happened, and it was not stopped at the event, what do you think the people of Trinidad would say about this?
Well, I'll tell you something. If this was in Trinidad and Tobago, most likely our Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, would have been the one on stage with that 13-year-old girl. And I say that without fear. Our Prime Minister has sponsored more events like that, and has been party to that kind of action more than, as much as probably your Prime Minister in Barbados. I mean, and I am saying something that cannot be defamatory, because it's a fact.
But what would be the response of the people of Trinidad? Is this something that people have just said it's normal for children to be involved in this kind of behavior on a stage?
Well, let me tell you something. As I stated before, our culture has morphed into something that is not culture. That is what I call subculture. It has morphed into that. So what we used to consider as part of our culture, our music, our art, our folklore, our gifts, our natural gifts as Caribbean people with our African and Indian heritage, has now morphed into something that, as I said before, that is hypersexualized. You know, and the girls and the women are seen as objects, and you can see it there. You know, and you see all these men who, if they would stop and think a while and reflect, they would know something is wrong here. You know, that could be their daughter on stage, and you see these men cheering them on and cheering these girls on, and it's a signal of the I call it the mob mentality of our people, because most of those people individually know that what they are seeing there is wrong. But what we tolerate, what we tolerate and accept, we become. So if Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, if in her mind, once her constituents are happy or seem to be happy, she thinks that what she tolerates and accepts is successful for her. That event is successful, and then she would probably, like Keith Rowley, go outside of the country and try to preach about how immoral and unethical the Western world is, or has been towards our countries, but it's all part of it. You said something that I liked. You said all of it contributes to the lawlessness that pervades the society. That is very true. There's a lawlessness that comes even from what we think is something as trivial as that. It's not
Yeah.
trivial at all. It 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 highlights, it shows the breakdown of societal values in our countries, of course, in our islands, of course, the Caribbean. It shows where we have failed. We have dropped the ball, and only few people. And I'll probably get criticized. They'll say Naked is puritanical, and because of my religion, I wonder. But it's nonsense. It's nothing to do with religion or anything else. It's to do with values. Because our sense of morality, once that goes south, there's no turning back, because we're going to
Yeah.
turn a blind eye to even worse things than what we see here. So Mia Motley is not alone. Kid Rowley, she'll have a partner in Kid Rowley in certain matters, in these matters. And they all play for the crowd. As we say in the Caribbean, the gallery for the Western media when they talk about the Western media's rules, which is correct, but then within their own societies, they have failed us.
Yes.
Writ large, they have failed us.
I want, when I see something like this happening, Senator Naked, and those of you who are just joining, this is Senator David Naked, and he is an opposing senator in an opposition senator, that's the correct term, in Trinidad and Tobago. And we've asked him to come on to talk about, crime and violence, and just what he sees as some of the challenges in Trinidad. And so we can probably compare notes and look to see what is happening here in Barbados. But I believe that there's a root, Senator Naked, to all of what is going on. And once we, because when you look at this young girl on this stage at 13 years old, you have touched on two of the main, there's a breakdown of society for sure. And then there's a government that is kind of sponsoring and cheering it on. And then there's a home. So those three agencies then that would have failed this child: the parents, the society, and the government. Is really what happened, and what is happening with our young people throughout the Caribbean region. It's a failure of those three agencies in their lives, really. And I think it's really a shame to see that we do not have governments that will now come and say to the parents, "No, that's not acceptable." Instead of having the girl on stage, sometimes they come up and they behave like this, and they give them money. What are we teaching those young girls at that age? That you simulate sex acts, and you get money for it. Yeah, look at the things that we are teaching at these early stages. But Senator Naked, we're so happy to have you on tonight. Is there any, I mean, you're saying is how many you're telling us how many murders you're having per day in Trinidad. It's like what we're having per week. What do you say to Barbados in your final thoughts to us this evening?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. We have three or maybe more pillars, what we consider pillars of society that have failed us. And I would even go so far as our churches, our temples. I refer to Trinidad and Tobago because we have a very multi-religious society. And I think our priests and our imams, our pundits, and so have failed us as well, because everyone seems to have become very cowardly. And we live probably where our parents would not have tolerated what we tolerate now. We live in a society where our parents would have been very adamant, violently so maybe, to not to have these kinds of actions. But we tolerate it because, and I think that the major pillar is the government. Because if you oppress the people, and you, because of the oppression of the people in terms of lack of employment, lack of jobs, you break up homes. Homes are broken up because fathers cannot find jobs. There's pressure on the family. You see, it's all connected. It's all a interconnectivity to it. So if the government that we pay to survive, we give them our taxpayers' money. They implement poor policy, poor programs. They're facilitators with the 1% that are corrupt. And the result of that is a breakdown of society, a breakdown of the family homes, which contribute to errant and delinquent young boys and girls. And then we see all of these things being manifested in what in that video you saw. You know, that doesn't happen, as we say in the Caribbean, just so. That happens because of a lot of things that have failed us. And you were quite correct in pointing out what are those. I would say governments are primarily responsible for that. And the churches and the mosques and the temples.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Senator Nakid, for joining us tonight and for pushing through the Wi-Fi challenges.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, and I was saying that you're most welcome. One of these days, I hope to see you here in Barbados, where we can see you face to face, no Wi-Fi challenges, and we can hear from you. I think you have a lot to offer the Caribbean. I really do. There's something about you when you speak, and I want to thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night, all of you.
Yes, thank you, sir. God bless. Bye-bye.
Marcia, I had not seen that video before. You know, I've seen others, but I had not seen that one. And there's only one consolation there, you know, that she wasn't named a national hero. Because when the Prime Minister got excited, you showed up national hero. So, you know,
Yeah.
we almost had a national hero there.
We almost had a national hero. And, you know, these are some of the things that when we speak, you know, Mr. Franklin, and I think I see Cami Holder says there that a lot of this kind of lawlessness, a lot of times we, you know, just the minority that's speaking about it. And we don't see, Mr. Franklin, the connection with that kind of behavior and the gun violence in society. We don't see the connection with the looseness of the loosening up of the rules in the schools and the gun violence in society. We don't see the connections. We don't see the lack of parenting in the homes with this kind of behavior, the gun violence in society. We're not making the connections, you know, and we sit back and we just say, oh, another one shot that, you know, and some people say, oh, well, let them kill off themselves, kill off each other, not realizing one day it's going to come at your door. It might end up in your home. And when a government, when a leader of a country could be part of something like this. If I'm at an event, Mr. Franklin, and something is happening like this to a child, where an adult man, a male, is on the stage and commanding a 13-year-old to be doing this kind of behavior in a short little short, and you're going to tell me none of those government or officials, don't tell me they were not there. Don't tell me that entire event was going on and they were not there.
You see, that's another problem too. When the police they had their fines removed, their stingers taken out, because a policeman should have intervened there. That man out there who's giving the orders should have been arrested. As I said earlier, it's contributing to delinquency of a minor. And that's still a crime in Barbados that you can go before the High Court. So, but how dare you put that matter before the court, not saying, no, the policeman looking for a job.
But they want to lock up people for saying something, Mr. Franklin, they want to lock us. They're pushing this cyber crime bill that happens on a laptop, and they are standing right there at the Botanical Gardens. Miss PM, that's your event. You are the producer of that event, and you are responsible. You have broken the laws of this country. What about the child protection bill that you are trying to pass in government? What about the other laws, Mr. Franklin, that's on the books that govern, how we relate to children? And we have if I had done an event like that, the police is liable to come to lock me up. But I
Okay.
be
Worse
here
yet, worse yet, Marcia.
to go to jail.
Worse yet, if that cybercrime bill had passed and you had showed that, and that child or the parents felt embarrassed or hurt by it, you could go to jail. It is as simple as that, you know. You know what amazes me? I've heard over them, not heard for a little while though, but they were talking about having a system of parole where people in prison, you let them out early and under certain conditions. We should not be thinking about parole. We should be thinking about ways to make sure they don't go to prison to give them parole. But this government is opening the floodgates, and they're saying whosoever will may come. And that's why we have a lot of our young men who should be out there learning a trade, doing something. But it was a boy. When you left school, your mother would take you to a tradesman in the area, and they got on to work. She had to get a lunch because her wasn't paying any money. But you learn it, then you became a skilled craftsman. Now we have polytechnics and all kind of stuff, and you're not getting craftsmen coming out because the government does not have a plan for young people. They all tell them want to become entrepreneurs. Become entrepreneurs and do what? Do nails? How many people will do nails and hair? Put on braids? You know, they don't have a plan. And at the same time, they're thinking of ways to get these systems speed up to lock them up faster. You hear no trials without jury and all kind of stuff. I'm afraid of that. Yeah. You know, but we will wait and see. But you know, they will say that we already have trials without jury at the lower level, at the magistrates. But you should now start having trials before jury. Magistrates, they can want to give it 7 years because one thing magistrates can give more than 2 or 3 years, I think it was. But no, they have doubled that in the cybercrime bill. So they might very well be saying, well, if the magistrates can lock you up for 7 years by sitting alone, we can let judges do it too. That's probably their reasoning without saying it, because it is absolute madness. You need to get involved with the young men in this society to make sure that they don't end up in that situation. They are reacting to the outcome rather than intervene early to make sure that bad outcomes don't happen. Yes, you will get bad outcomes sometimes, but we're getting too many.
Yeah, you know, I have just wrote down in my book here, state-sponsored child pornography.
Yes.
And listen to me. It sounds. No, when you just think about it, this child is 13. She is 13 years old, and a big man is on a stage doing this, and no adult there at this BLP event sponsored by the Prime Minister of this country. No well-thinking adult. It just irks me every time I look at it. And then you take a group like Praise Academy, children well-dressed, Mr. Franklin, well-dressed, covered from head to toe, stand up, poised, acting and singing and dancing, not that kind of dance, choreographed dance that they had to sit and they had to learn and they had to be trained in. They had to attend rehearsal for weeks. And they are talking about the Bible and science, and you disqualify them. However, in your state, sponsored pornography, you sit back and you cheer on, and there was nobody there, not even a policeman, nobody there to stop that from happening. And I will tell you, I will go down in history as talking about this because it happens at Krapover with the little boys. You will see little children, little boys walking up on big women, and the crowd cheering on. Happens at NCF events sponsored by the government of this country. And then we're going to talk about lawlessness. We're going to talk about this kind of behavior as though we are so shocked. We're so shocked by it. And blame only the parents. Yes, we have to blame the parents. We have to blame the places of faith and worship. Yes, we have to blame. We have to blame the government. Where are the laws? And you know,
someone in the chat mass is asking, Cammy, can you bring a private prosecution as a citizen under Barbados laws? Yes, you can. The unfortunate thing is that if you bring a private prosecution, the director of public prosecutions is empowered by law to discontinue it. Not the one that she filed or that he filed, but they can say, all right, instruct the magistrate or the judge to discontinue the matter, and that's the end of the matter for you. So private criminal prosecutions are a bit tenuous.
Yeah, you know, I see Miss McLean is on, and for those who are just joined, I'm going to ask Dave to show that video again. And we blotted out the face of the child, and I made sure that was done. But I want us to feel that and understand that, and don't get immune to that. That is not funny. Miss McLean, take a look at this as a mother.
Your jaws dropped, Maxine.
This is sad.
No, Marcia, I didn't see it just now. The first time, this is the first time I've seen it, and I will say it. And for me,
Miss McLean, do you know what event this is?
Yes, I know. I heard you just now speak about it. I heard you speak about it before your guest from Trinidad came on. And I'm looking at that teenager, but I'm also looking at the young man who is the DJ. And I will say why. Because if it is who I think it is, I knew that young man as a toddler. I wouldn't say anymore. This is a small society. Anybody who knows him and knows me would know how I know him. I wrote down something here as you were speaking just now, just before you shared that. And I wrote down, my words were connecting the dots because I was trying to think of how I was going to speak. But this is what I wrote in relation to this. How are we as a society doing right by our young people, our children? Because as you say, that's a minor. And this is an event where, as you said, decision makers, lawmakers, because Parliament is the highest lawmaking body in this country, would have been present. Adults, and I wrote down these words, how are we instilling values in our young people? How are we educating our young people for life beyond work? Because I was looking at a number of things. But, you know, for me, didn't anybody in that audience forget the teenagers? And so I'm thinking about, as I said, those people who constitute lawmakers, decision makers, whether, you know, part of government, because it is, you know, and those people who represent these people. and other adults, did anybody not sit down and ask themselves, engage in what I would call critical thinking and say, what is wrong with what I am seeing in front of me? And if this young man, if that person is who I think it is, he's very popular, he's come out of a family that traditionally relatives are very religious and so on, because we talk about the church and all of that. But when you become an adult, you make choices. But I would say to our young DJs, and if this person is who I think it is, he would know who that I'm speaking to him, because there's a familial connection, not related to me, but related to people related to me. Are you sacrificing some of the values that your parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles instilled in you for popularity and money? We have to draw a line, you see, because because this is the person, if I think it is who it is a young man. And if it isn't him, what I'm saying applies to this young man who's also a DJ. Are you comfortable that you are becoming party to the corruption of minors? Now, I don't care if these are 18 years old and over who get up in a dub fet or a whatever fet, crop over or whatever they call them. Some of the names I wouldn't even bother to call because they're so vulgar sounding. If you want to get in there and play the music and say the things that you say to adults, that is one thing. But once a minor crosses a stage that you are on, DJ A, B, C, D, X, or Y, those from the north, south, east, and west of Barbados, when you get on stage and you see that, you stop and you say, sorry, this is not for you. And as you said, this is something that was in the constituency of the Prime Minister of Barbados. This is an area in which people go in large numbers. And if we are at the point where nobody sees something is wrong with that, we have a major problem on our hands. And that to me, Marcia, is part of what it is, because the people to be blamed are the persons, the parents who allow that child to not only, well, I don't have a problem with taking a 13-year-old to an event depending on what is happening there, because my son is no longer 13. But if I had taken him to something like that and I saw it going in a direction that I did not like and I didn't think it was appropriate, I would have exited that place or moved away from that event and so on. He certainly, and this is a girl now, and if it were my daughter or my niece or my neighbor's child, I would have said, no, get off of that stage. It is not for you. In fact, you shouldn't get on there in the first place.
But Ms. McLean, I'm saying that this is something that I personally am not going to let go of. I remembered I was in a somewhere, with overseas with our film, and I remember relaxing in my little hotel room there, and it was crop over time, and I saw a woman with a little boy.
I recall.
You remember
that video? I remember that video very well. It was somewhere on Spring Garden, if I remember correctly.
I created a petition and sent it to the Attorney General, and I think it was a DLP that was in office at the time, and I sent it to them because the event was a crop over event, and I sent it. And I'm saying that I am not going to let go on this, because they are passing a pushing this child protection bill. They have disqualified our school for children standing up in proper clothing, standing up straight, poised, rehearsed, well-spoken children from speaking the Bible and science. And this same government is going to stand up and sanction this state-sponsored child pornography. I am not going to let it go at any opportunity I get to speak. I am going to speak about this. Someone needs to be held accountable for what has happened here tonight, what we see here tonight.
I agree with you. I just want to respond to Joseph. I would not go as far as to say that no minor should be an event where alcohol is being served, because at a family wedding, whatever. I would say that in public events like this, those minors should be accompanied. And this is where the family comes in, because at the end of the day, I could have taken my son to any event when he was a minor, or sent him with one of my siblings or one of my nieces or nephews, but the instruction would have been, he is in your care, or he is in my care during that, and I am responsible for what happens to him, what he sees, and so on. If the event gets out of hand, as I would describe it, then I would have taken him away from that. But you see, anything seems to go nowadays. And I mean, adults can do what they want to do within reason, or in the privacy of wherever they have events or whatever. But when you have a public event, which essentially is government sponsored, whether it is in the name of an event put on by a minister or the prime minister, that person either finances it as an event, or it is part of an activity paid for by the government through such an entity as the NCF, etc., where you lend your name to something like this. There are limits that have to be observed. We are going down a road. We are talking about young people and employment and whatever the case may be. Why am I not seeing people pushing youngsters to sit in schools, go to camps where they're being taught how to use computers, to design robots, to do whatever the case may be? There's something I saw, and I'm sure many of the audience might have seen this. In schools, when this time of year, when exams come to an end, students finish their CXCs or year-end exams or whatever. It's especially those who are finishing fifth formers and sixth formers. After they finish their exams, they are able to go home and till the school ends officially, whether it is graduation or whatever. And there was a video where a young man literally has his face in the camera, using expletives and saying how he's finished with his school. Now, this young man does not understand that Caswell Franklin may see that, Marcia Weeks may see that, company ABC HR manager may see that. Now, he has finished school. My question to him and his parents, I trust his parents will get to see that. What will you say to a prospective employer when you go before somebody for an interview and they say, John Brown, I noticed that you went to XYZ school, and on this day, you were leaving school, and yes, celebrate that your last days at school, but did you have to express your happiness of leaving school using expletives and carrying on in a more stupid way? Because at the end of the day, these things go around. I mean, I don't circulate those kind of things. It came to me, I saw it. I've had discussions with people about it, but I wouldn't pass it on. But I'm asking myself, what is happening? But you see, he can feel comfortable to do that, because if he turns on his phone and there is a short video like the one you showed just now, where this is an official function happening out there, and this is something that nobody has come out and condemned in terms of the people who were part of it condemning it, then he would figure, well, this is similar.
Correct.
I can do this.
Yeah, you're so correct, Miss McLean. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because somebody looking at it will say, Mr. Franklin, what you're talking about crime and violence. Why are you showing this video? What I'm showing is a pattern of lawlessness. I'm showing you the root of things. I'm showing you the connection with when you have no regulations, you have no laws, there's no governance, there's when everything is broken down, when our morals are broken down, then what do we expect? What are we expecting? Our children are looking on. If the child is in the house and all they see is fighting between the mother and the father, you understand? And they reach for a knife and so on. That's what they're gonna live. If they go out in the society and that is seen and applauded, we're raising rogues. Basically, Mr. Franklin, you have something to say, and I see.
Yes, I was going to say that. I think we're missing a very vital point here too. This is recruiting. You're recruiting the young people against their nasty lifestyle. That is why you will see it being sponsored by some of the most immoral government that we've ever had in the history of Barbados. I am not saying that all politicians prior to this group was like Caesar's wife. But what I'm saying to you is that this group has shown a level of decadence that is unprecedented in Barbados. You remember the exam, they call it the computer test? That was also a recruiting tool to find the young people that they can use for their nasty behaviors. You know, these are things that young people should be kept away from. But no, if you don't find a way to recruit them, you know, because they want them in large numbers, they don't want to have a one-off one here. You know, you'll be surprised now. I go to the supermarket and I see so many men with their husbands or boyfriends and girls with their things. You know, it's becoming the norm. You know, and thank you. I was going to use the word grooming. All of this is child grooming. But now, if I did it on the computer, I can go to jail. But the Prime Minister's constituency or whoever doing it or whoever is responsible for it is child grooming in the botanical gardens, so that person can't go to jail for 7 years because I'm gonna put it on the internet, or then use a computer system to put it up. It is child grooming. That child, 13 years old, Lord help them. You know,
it's disgusting. It's disgusting, Mr. Franklin. You know, and I heard.
I was never able to move like that in my life. So
sorry, I didn't realize you weren't finished. I didn't
no,
realize.
I was saying no. I saw the young lady move. I don't ever recall being able to be so agile. You know, this is nastiness.
But Mr. Franklin, we have a dance school, and there's a place for agility. She's young; she should be able to be agile and should be flexible at that age. There is a place for it. We provide ballet bars. We provide all kinds of things for them to be able to exercise, gymnastics, all of those things. Why are we pushing that as the only way to dance? You see what I'm saying? And this is where I'm saying that I'm telling you, I'm very upset about this because I see it happen at events put on by the Ministry of Culture. Where was the elder Colin Jordan in this? Have you seen this video, Elder Colin Jordan?
Probably they're doing like that.
Senator John Rogers, is he not a thing? What about Elizabeth Thompson, who is a preacher in training? What about the other one, that loudmouth? I'm sorry. Oh God, Miss McLean said not to call people, but that man just did. Oh,
I will call the name Senator Charles Morris.
all right, say it, Senator Charles Morris.
Senator Charles Morris.
But,
ordained Anglican priest.
Ordained Anglican priest. Where are these people that are part of this party and a part of this government? Did they see the state-sponsored child pornography that happened at the Botanical Gardens, that was sponsored, and families were called from their homes? They called families, they fed them, and they gave them drinks, and they all these different things, and had their children on stage behaving like this by the Prime Minister of this country. Kimar, good evening. You catch me here ranting and raving because it has to do with children, and it makes me very, 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 very sick. I want to thank Mr. Our opposition leader, Ralph Thorne, for bringing this up in Parliament. He's the first person I heard saying this, Kimar, in Parliament. And I remembered when he raised it, I sat at this desk right here and I started to cry. It affected me so much. I started to cry because I understood what the messages we were sending to that young girl. And I know for some of you it doesn't mean anything, but it means a lot to a lot of other people in this country. Kimar, good night. How are you?
Hey, good night, Marcia. Good night, Caswell, Maxine, and
Good night, Kimar.
yes, good night
Good
to
to
all of the
hear you.
members. Yes. Always good to hear you too, and everybody else on the panel. Right, very happy to be here on a Friday evening. So I just joined in, sitting back and listening to you guys. So now you could get back over to you, Marcia. To me saying.
Well, we're just going to close out this segment. We've been talking about violence, the increase of violence in Barbados, and which we're going to all need to come together to find solutions and not just talk. There needs to come a point, Kimar, where we're not just having these discussions, but we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and get into the trenches and actually do the work, right? It's important that we actually do. And I hear that I can feel the heart of the opposition leader as it relates to these kinds of things. And I think that with this issue of crime, with all of us on here, is over 1,000 of us listening, and we can't, my grandmother would say, you can't unsee. It's not English, but you can't unsee what you just saw a while ago, Miss McLean, Kimar, and General Caswell. We can't unsee it. We saw something. We have to do something about it. There were 4 young men, Kimar, that died in 7 days. This is going to be more than discussion in this country. It has to be more than just discussion. We must find solutions. We have to find solutions. So, Akima, as we close off on this topic of crime and violence, I know your show last night looked at the economic impact, how it impacts on the economy, and how the economy impacts on that, vice versa. What give us our final thought on this before we turn the floor over to you to speak of what you've prepared tonight.
Yeah. Well, as I said last night, crime and violence is a psychological problem. And until the government treat it as such, then it just be continuously spending and wasting state resources to deal with the problem at the end. My recommendation is to deal with the crime and violence at the root cause. Also look at areas of reformative justice, or how you could reform some of these persons to turn a new leaf. And also you look at stiff measures when all other measures have exhausted themselves, because it cannot continue to disturb and be a nuisance to society. And the state continues to be lenient on people who commit brazen acts which disturbs the peace of society. So you can't necessarily be faint-hearted as a government. So you can't sign a truce program and then stop short and putting a amnesty in place, right? Then stop short and asking people to hand over the illegal. Nothing like that occurred to accompany whatever effort. So we can firmly say that the government is indeed being lenient on crime, and the society obviously is not comfortable. So serious conversations need to be had between the people and the government as it relates to their peace and security in Barbados.
Yes.
I think it
Thank
is
you so
lenient.
much.
I think it is the government is in cahoots with them. Look at the people that they're promoting. Look at the people that they are giving money to not to kill each other. Look at the people they invite to the state opening the parliament. It's in leniency. It is they are encouraging the type of behavior they want their people to go out and campaign for them. Luckily, I've not heard the Democratic Party come out or any allegations that they've been using criminals, but this party has in 2 elections now. It's leniency. It's deliberate.
Yes. Let me just Kimar, pardon me to just make this person here, Nicholas Maynard. I love this Nicholas Maynard. Miss McLean, read. You see this question here? Nicholas Maynard says, if you were in government, what programs would you implement for school leavers? In current times, finding a job in Barbados is particularly challenging for recent school graduates. I want to say you have asked a perfect question, right, Miss McLean?
Yes, yes, he has. And I would say even, well, for school leavers and for those at least a year or two before leaving school, because part of the concern that persons like Marcia, persons like her have is whether or not we are preparing. In fact, I will turn over the piece of paper on which I wrote as I was listening. And one of the things that I wrote here is when I mentioned that how are we as a society doing right by young people? And I wrote down 2 things. One, instilling values, and whether we are educating them for life beyond work. Because there are 2 things. One is the immediate opportunity for a secondary school child, because education and going to school is mandatory until 16. And beyond that, you're talking about what do they do post-secondary education?
Yeah.
Do they go to work, or do they continue to study? And if they go to work or continue to study, etc., are they doing that with the right kind of values systems? We're looking to talk about skills and competencies and so on, but you can be the most skilled, most educated young person, but are you going into that next phase of your life with the right kinds of attitudes, values, etc.? And so I think part of what we have to do, because that person has asked, there are set of questions that we have to ask ourselves as well as we do that. If we had to identify or categorize our young people leaving school, we have to ask ourselves how many of them are leaving with basic skills and competencies in terms of having gone through our educational system. How many of them are lacking in particular things, and what do we do? So I think part of it is really, what is the situation of our young people when they exit those school gates at 16 or 18?
Let me give an example.
Guys, I'm going to have to hold it, and let's see if we can do anything at the end. But I need to
Kimar,
go into Kimar section. But Nicholas Maynard, I want you to take this number 236-7000, because there is a program that is coming out of the show that is going to be dealing with school leavers that we're presently working on. And because of the way you asked this question, you played right into me asking you to be a volunteer. So can you call us at 236-7000? There is a program that is being worked on as we speak, and will be by the mid-June will be we will start the program. Okay. Over to Kimar.
Mid-July.
In July. Yes. Thank you, Ms. McLean. Kimar, good evening again, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, well, Marcia, you could let the others continue in the conversation because it was flowing so nicely. So
I know, but if you're finished early, then we will pick up, because you did not get a chance to speak the other night, and I know you have prepared, so we also want to respect that. as we did for Mr. Franklin earlier today. So please proceed. Thank you.
Well, but tonight specifically, I wanted to address a recent article coming out from the uh, African Exim Bank and the conference in the Bahamas. And that article spoke to the governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, suggesting that there was going to be a new payment system that is moving away from the US dollar. That is moving away from the US dollar. And then we had the Minister of Economic Affairs, Chad Blackman, coming out and also echoing that point as well. Right? Now, it may sound what they call fancy, right, to suggest something like that. But let us think logically about it. Right? How could Barbados, a country that has borrowed almost 3 billion US dollars, right, from the IMF and the IDB since 2018, be discussing a move away from the US dollar, when you know racked up almost $3 billion US debt bill in US dollars, right? If anything, the conversation should be a move towards earning more foreign exchange, towards saving more foreign exchange, and not trying to reduce, from my understanding, a reliance on foreign currency and IE, which will bring a reduction in US foreign currency, right? So I am rather lost. Many of my colleagues are also lost as to how the government intends to achieve this, right? Given the fact that if you look at Barbados, Barbados is a small country. Only Barbados dollars are only relevant in Barbados. Nobody else through the Caribbean trades Barbados's dollar or exchanges Barbados's dollar for anything. At one point in time in Guyana, you could have traded small amounts of Barbadian currency, right, at the borders, in other words, but Barbados's currency is not relevant outside of this 166 square miles, right? So are all of the other currencies, indigenous currencies through the Caribbean. Right? So you have the Jamaica dollar, you have the Guyanese dollar, you have the TT dollar, then there's the EC dollar, and you have many countries in the Caribbean which use the EC dollar as their indigenous dollar. But again, these currencies are only relevant to the geographics of the particular country, right? So how is Barbados, a country with we will say a dollar with very, very little value in the world, right, rated at junk status all over the globe? If you check any of the credit ratings for Barbados' debt bill, all of them are at junk on the international market, and Barbados is banned from the international credit markets right now because of the default that the government enacted on us when they first came into power. Right. So we have again a small country, small value dollar, right? And they are talking about a system. What they neglected to say in the system was that they were looking at a new digital dollar through the system, right, which will connect Barbados' system, or the digital Barbadian dollar, to that of the African payment system. And I can speak to this because I attended all of the sessions. I attended even the launch of the African Exim Bank that they had recently in Barbados. And I spoke to many of the booths that were there. And a lot of what is being offered is that of fintech, financial technology, digital payment systems, and a lot of money from the African region is headed the way of the Caribbean, but they are pushing the digital format and not necessarily hardened currency, right? So Barbados, and I think we discussed this before, and I think we're kind of forgetting this part of the conversation is that remember the government tried to force us onto the digital ID, right? They tried to force us onto the digital ID, and remember there were some discussions by persons like Fred Carbing and some others with support to the central bank digital currency. I know you're seeing the governor of the Central Bank of Barbados proposing a national payment system, but not necessarily coming out and saying that it will be in a digital format. So the digital push, or the push to digitize most of the economy of Barbados, and you see they're having other central banks around the region. I remember it was a company from Barbados called BIT that set up the pilot payment for the Eastern Caribbean currency, right, in digital format at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Right? And Barbados developed a pilot also where we had M-Money. And M-Money was basically like a test for trading local Barbados dollars in digital format. So you had a couple of stores and stuff offering it up, and it started to take off a bit, right? But what the government is neglecting to tell us is that they have been continuously borrowing the same US dollars that they now want to move away from to help invest and build in these pilots and mobilize investment, millions and billions of dollars of investment away from the what's called the SWIFT system, right? So at the same launch of the African Exim Bank, they're saying investment could be available. However, if you have business, they will try to facilitate your business model into a more digital format. So if investment comes to, or the future investment through the African Exim Bank or so, I think it will be more focused on the digital aspects, connecting the new payment system through Barbados through Africa. And that would essentially see the country open up a new perspective, but it's not logical necessarily to say to the public that a country that is indebted so many dollars in foreign exchange, a country that goes to America to report to the Congress on its debt, burdens, and other financial things, indebted to the IMF, a country that is heavily backed by America, right? And then to tell the public that you're looking to move away from the US dollar. I think Barbadians need to be cautious. Barbadians also need to be careful, and they also need not to be misled by these newfound banking facilities. And remember, Marcia, you saw this week that the government tried to push the blue-green bank.
Right.
Right? The blue-green bank. Remember, we spoke to that extensively on this show.
Yes.
Right? We did. We presented extensive information on the blue-green bank. I know it is popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I heard the senior minister for foreign affairs speaking about how good water reclamation is, and how reclaiming water will be such a great thing for Barbados.
Jarby water.
Right? Kerry Simmons is saying that. And he's proud to say that. Right? And he was proud to attack the leader of opposition. But it's not the first time he did it, you know. He was proud to attack leader opposition to say that his government will be bringing $600 million worth of investments to Christchurch South in terms of transforming the South Coast sewage plant to tertiary level plant. Also going into the city of Bridgetown, transforming that one into a tertiary level treatment plant as well. And I sat and I heard some of the explanations given, but none of the arguments put forward were as detailed in analysis as the ones that we spoke about on the show. Right? So we were able to expose the myriad international organizations that have the hooks in this blue-green bank. Right? And I should also note this. How come the African Exim Bank is sidestepping dealing directly with government and going straight to the private sector? Right? I'm going straight to the private sector. How come these institutions, like all of the others, deal directly with the government and then the government deals with the contractor to get whatever business they need done? How come? Right? So will this new blue-green bank carry the same feature where the blue-green bank is able to conveniently sidestep dealing with government and go straight to the private sector? Right? Who are the directors or the independent directors of this blue-green bank? Right? Let's look at the African Exim Bank. Right? How is it operational? How is it working? Could you give us some more information? As it is supposed to be African Caribbean Bank with a headquarters in Barbados. Right? So at what level? Who are the directors and how are the directors chosen? And who are the persons negotiating these new loans and these facilities between and I'm speaking of who's negotiating on behalf of the government? Where is the government in all of this? Right? Because I would never believe, right, that an institution that is not a commercial bank does not have commercial banking status, right? That's set up by the government, but that's a piece of legislation, right? And you say it was set up, but it was not set up by private investors. These things were set up by acts of parliament, right? So I would just like some clarity, some understanding to the functions of these newfound banks, which is both the African Exim Bank and the Blue-Green Bank, and how come these new institutions are going directly to the private sector to do investments, right? But still you have government narrators injecting themselves and speaking about all these large-scale investments, again, the $600 million project, but still we can see a direct trade relationship between the two. So if I could get some understanding, I would feel much better.
Thanks, Kimar. Mr. Franklin, is there anything you want to add to that? I know we started these discussions. We started on the show a while back. It's been a while back that we were going through these discussions. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
No, I just wanted to remind Kimar about this digital currency that the government is trying to force us and everybody else into. Right now, as we speak, I have in my hand a document. I don't know if you can see it. It's a bill that is being circulated. This is a bill to deal with repealing and replacing the Protection of Wages Act. And in the definition section, under the law right now, you can only pay a person in legal tender unless the person agrees that you can give them a check or you can give them things. And that remains. That still remains the law, that you can give them a check or a postal order or a deposit to the bank account if they agree. That is still the law, but it must be paid in legal tender. However, the government is proposing that legal tender, it says here, right here on my pencil, look at it. Legal tender includes digital currency.
Keep it there. Let me see it. Let me see if there's a way we can show it.
Yeah. Legal tender includes digital currency. So they're sneaking digital currency in on us. So when you go downtown to the market and you ask a vendor for 4 bananas, you can pay them in digital currency and they can't refuse, because you cannot refuse legal tender. You can refuse a check. You can refuse deposit in the bank. But these people is sneaking into the law. And I see the thing is, when you have something like this, you just not share it with the stakeholders like the unions and things. You share it with the country, because this is going to affect everybody, because everybody is not in unions. So this is something that they should be broadcasting and telling people, this is what we plan to do against you, I mean for you. Because I know this government has been so against the people that I mentioned, said against you, but this is what we are planning to do for the country. But they know that something is wrong. And also, I'm going to add, the African Exim Bank has diplomatic status. They have given them all the powers of, if you check the legislation, they got diplomatic status. So they're gonna be operating an alternate country just now in here, just not only a bank.
Interesting. I didn't realize that the bank was, well, I guess it would be. It's a Caribbean bank with the headquarters in Barbados. Ms. McLean, are you familiar with that?
Marcia, I had actually, I'm going to spend some time, well, I'm just going to raise it here because I think we need to understand what's happening here in relation to the African Exim Bank, because it existed before it started to do business with what they call the 6th region, which is within the African Union, they call the diaspora the 6th region. And I want to touch on, and I'm going to touch on these because what I will speak about this some more on Sunday, if I'm on, but I want to say a couple of things, and in terms of what the African Export-Import Bank, which was set up in the 90s in Africa, I think is in Abuja, Nigeria, and it says the vision is to be the trade finance bank for Africa. The mission to stimulate a consistent expansion, diversification, and development of African trade. Who it serves: large corporates, governments, and financial institutions. Now, I am not going to get in, because that will take me a little while to get into what's happening in Barbados. But just to address something that Kimar raised about doing business with corporates. Now, we need to unravel the financing of the project that we saw reference to recently, because I am looking at what is the purpose of the bank. And as I said, they've looked to expand. So in principle, I don't have a difficulty with that. What we need to understand is when it moves across the Atlantic to the region, how is it going to operate, etc. So I think that one of the things that we have to look at would be the governance issues within the context of the Caribbean. So that is something. So it's intended to finance, as I said, trade, and it has expanded. Now, as I said, for me, anybody who knows me as a Pan-Africanist will say that I support enhanced trade between Africa and the people in the African diaspora, the people in the Caribbean, South and Central America and North America, where our people are. How we do that is what we need to explore within the context of Barbados. And because of how we see things being done here, we also have to be careful. I wanted to touch on the issue of a digital currency, because what has happened on the continent, because they were behind us
And
technologically.
we really have to just touch on it. And
Well, that is why I said I would do it,
we
because
have 2
I just
minutes.
want to say this. We have to be careful that we don't write off what is happening with the African Export-Import Bank on the continent and in the region. What is happening in Barbados needs to be dissected to make sure, as I said, that there's good governance that's prevailing, etc. Because and I would explain that when I have time. But you see, when we start to get into digital currencies, we got to be careful how we talk about digital IDs, and that's why I said we got to look at what people are trying to do here against a lot of what is happening. And I will explain on Sunday this whole issue of why, because if you look at what's happening, and Caswell mentioned the market, you go into a market in Abuja or Nairobi or whatever, people don't necessarily hand cash. They take out their telephones and they do a transfer. That is digital currency. So in essence, they don't necessarily pull out a coin or a note, but because of their telecommunication system and all of those things are tight. But that's a lot of explanation. But as I said, we need to be careful that we understand the issues, and then we need to understand how those issues are translated and transferred to Barbados.
Yeah.
Because
all right.
you know.
So we will hopefully we can unpack all of that
It is
Sunday.
absolutely critical that we do that.
Yes.
So that we
Okay.
understand what is happening here, what might be happening here, what should be happening here, and what is happening elsewhere.
Yes.
And where
okay.
there's room for all kinds of things that can go in all kinds of directions. Let me put it that way.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. McLean. And we shall, as you can see, we shall continue on Sunday. Kimar, there's a lot that you have brought here for us to go back to what we were discussing earlier up in the show. There are lots of things that we did in the early part, that are now, we're seeing it happening now. All right. Now, tomorrow, guys, we have the protest march again tomorrow. We're not a people, as Bajans, we're not a people that we start something and we're going to, in the middle of it, we don't finish it. They expect us to do that. They expect us to go on to crop over now. They expect us to go on to World Cup now. They expect us to drop it and to forget about it. That's what is expected of us. Okay? And so we're not going to do what is expected of us because it's a different time that we're living in. You understand? We're now a people who have come into understanding of who we are. And we understand that this cybercrime bill here, while we might be forgetting about it, right? They are, as far as my understanding, today, the 14th, they would have had another meeting on this particular bill, collating all of the submissions from this bill. And I know that the program that we went in Bahamas, she kept saying something is happening on Sunday. Not sure what she was speaking of, but I was able to get some understanding from Mr. Thorne, and my understanding is that what they're doing, they're collating all of the information, that the submissions and looking at all of them, and that was a date that we saw in the newspaper that they were looking at the bill again today. They are not out doing crop over, and they are not out at just doing World Cup. Do you understand that? They are planning for us and preparing for us. So that's why we have to get out there on Saturday. I know the sun is hot. Wear a big hat. You understand? Bring your water bottle. Get your walking shoes. You understand? We're going to have the van on the road, that if you get tired, you can go in the van And let me tell you something, Caswell, these seniors are coming out, you know, people with 2 knee surgery, people who have lost limbs, and they are coming out to these marches because they said, I want to leave a better Barbados to my grandchildren. I don't want to leave here. And then they're locking up people, and they come out and they bring their donations. And I'm saying to us, we must make up our minds that if it's us and the truck driver, or even if the truck doesn't come and it's just one person with the placard, I am going down the road. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we don't have an excuse unless, of course, you have a medical situation. As I always say, do the work that you have to do in the week, and, you know, plan out your stuff so you can be out. We don't have a roadside parliament. I know we keep you busy. We don't have a roadside parliament this week, and we're going to finish at 12 o'clock tomorrow. All right? So the almost 1,000 of you on here need to come out and stun them. You understand? We're finishing 12 on the dot tomorrow. We're not going to wait in Independence Square. I know some of you go there and wait on us. You're going to be disappointed because we're not going to wait in Independence Square. It costs way too much money, and we're repeating a lot of what we're saying already on the road. Okay? So we're at 12 o'clock. We're finishing. And we're also going to be talking about this gun violence as well. We're going to be speaking about that because we don't feel safe, and we want to know what the policies of the government, what those policies are, and we will not be silenced. Okay, so as we close, let me ask Kimar, what do you say to the people about coming to these marches? Those that want to give up, Teroni saying we ain't letting up. But Kimar, what you say to the people?
Yeah, come out tomorrow. We applaud all of the persons who've been supporting all along. Those persons need to be applauded, and we want to encourage those persons to bring other people. So if you tell somebody and that somebody tells somebody and then that somebody broadcasts it out in their WhatsApp list and their Instagrams, then you can reach a wider audience. And I know that despite the numbers we see, there are more disenfranchised people in Barbados. But people live in fear. They don't want to be victimized. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to disrupt the fortunes because people live in real fear in Barbados of the government, right? And if you just ask as well about how the civil servants feel right now, then you would get a better understanding of what I am saying. So I want to encourage all those persons to shake off the fear, shake off the shackles, and to come down to Bridgetown, Raymond's Drive tomorrow and support the protest march. This is not a Marcia Weeks march. This is not a Caswell Franklin march, a Maxine McLean, a Key March Short. This is a march for the people of Barbados to come out and stand up for your freedom and to stand up for your rights and to keep your God-given right of freedom of speech. So thank you very much.
Ms. McLean, what do you say to the people about the importance of protest marches and coming out tomorrow?
I want to tell Marcy, I think they need to be reminded that the issues which continue to impact or concern Barbadians are not going away. You made an important point just now when you said that while there's cricket going on, while we're planning for crop over and Kadooment, the government is working on this agenda in relation to cybercrime and so on. And it is important. We've seen how those things are playing out in other jurisdictions within the Caribbean and beyond the Caribbean. And we need to stay on top of these issues and to remind the government, as we remind ourselves, that these issues have the potential for doing significant harm in terms of our rights and freedoms as citizens of Barbados and people living in this country.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McLean. And General, I know you're going to be there tomorrow. What are you saying to the people?
I don't want to walk alone, but I will if I have to. That's what I'm going to say to the people. Join us to help you. This is not only about me. This is about everybody in Barbados who has a cell phone. Because this cybercrime bill, if somebody sends you something that is offensive on your phone, and they find it on your phone, they can charge you too, you know. And you're not that you distribute it. So this thing is too draconian, and people are not seeing the repercussions of this piece of legislation. Why would a government that care for the people of this country, because their motto was "Mayor cares." Mayor cares. Sorry. Why a caring government would want to inflict this on the people of Barbados? 7 years for talking. I make you feel bad, and they get locked up for 7 years, and people don't want to come out and march about that. You're gonna say, "Well, I ain't gonna say nothing." You will think that's not gonna affect you. The moderator and the talk show host in Ghana never anticipated for anything that somebody calling on the show and saying something that he could be arrested and charged. Our laws are similar.
Yeah. Yes.
You know? Before I go, I just want to say we only have 353 likes, and I can do with a few more before we go off. You know, that will help us to get this program to more people if you like it. So I'm sure you want to spread the word. So help us to reach more and more people. I can assure you there are lots of people out there who watch the program on a regular basis because they tell me when the tongue today, and several people stop me and talk about the program. So we know that we are making a mark, but we want to make a bigger mark. So I'll just keep on liking. It's 355 now. So please share and because if you share it now, somebody will still go into this system and put it up and watch it later on tonight or tomorrow or next week. So you can still share. Yes, thank you so much. 364. And before I sign off now, I would like to see at least 400 or more. You know, so anyhow, please come out and join us tomorrow. We need you, and you need you.
Yes, yes. And thank you so much, Mr. Franklin, and the people, especially, like the YouTube. Remember, I told you that according to Facebook, I am not the owner of those pages, and I am banned for 6 months. So I have to now try to prove that I am the owner, and whoever it is has been trying to take over my pages now for a while, and this is the worst it has gotten. We have appealed, but I need your help. We need your help. Barbados needs your help. We don't want to anything to shut down. We want the Facebook to be there so that people who watch on Facebook, because I could tell by the numbers that they don't all know that the show is on. This evening, somebody messaged saying, "I can't get onto your Facebook." So we need to pass the word around, please. Please pass it around to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, okay? Because I can't do anything until I'm reinstated. I'm hoping that by next week that they would reinstate me on Facebook. I send them a picture of myself. I'm doing everything that I can do to get back my pages, okay? So you know how that happens. People are reporting and saying that I'm fake. I'm pretending that I'm not real. We're gonna play pretending right now. No roadside parliament on Sunday evening, guys. It's Father's Day. We definitely didn't plan anything. Big respect to fathers. Would never do that. Father's Day, big respect. We're gonna have a big Father's Day show. So although Miss McLean will be on as well, but there's a section that will be for fathers. So everybody, no roadside parliament on Sunday. Next week Sunday. All right. Okay. God bless you all and have a good night. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye.
Right. Thank you, Kimar. Thank you, Miss McLean, for coming on. Thank you, Senator Naked from Trinidad. I love him. Thank you, Pastor Franklin. I was going to say Pastor Franklin.
That's okay.
All right. All right. God bless you all. And see you tomorrow. And you know, we got to have at least one of our songs tonight, Dave, before we go.
Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full, now you and job they promise me. And a girl like me want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down.
That maths nor English, 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 English. Pretending to be good, hey, pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
All right, folks. All right. And a pleasant good night to everybody. And we wish you a wonderful weekend and see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Good night all.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.